Welcome everyone to Rainbow Six Siege here on LPL Pro on Wednesday night. My name is Matt Smite. Ross Cthulhu is always here with me by my side, my partner in crime. And mate, we are nearing the end of this season. It's week 6. We're halfway through it. We've only got one more after this one is done. But let's quickly wrap up what we saw last week, because Cthulhu, I know you had some thoughts on these ones, but I think overall they're expected results.
Yeah, fairly expected results. Bans actually showed some really convincing game against ShadowNet, where they just weren't letting go ShadowNet in any shape or form. And then Exto versus Ferox was a little bit of an interesting one, just because the first map ended up being a little bit back and forth, but Exto showed an absolutely dominant second half of Cafe. And then Ferox kind of went for a retaliation map 2, which saw them win in a 7-3 fashion. So a very solid performance overall for Ferox as well, but alas, still a first place for Exto Gaming.
Yeah, that's the thing. Exto have had such a good start to the season, they can still sit at the top of the leaderboard. They do have a challenge next week when they play, I think it's Skyfire, but of course, you know, Ferox has already done that, so they have a bit of an easier match next week, I believe, but then the real thing you're looking at is 3rd, 4th, and 5th. That's Bizarre, Skyfire, and PC419. Only a point between them, and Skyfire and PC419 are tied, and we can only take 2 of those teams to the top 4. So tonight's matches are going to be pretty important, particularly the Bizarre versus PC419. But Skyfire also has to win their one. But I think that's a good way to send us into tonight's matches, Cthulhu, because they are important. But so about this first one, Skyfire versus Bitter Hems, because this one, it should just be a 2-0 for Skyfire. They certainly need it to be, but the Bitter Hems have recently restructured their team a whole lot, so it could be a challenge. But just quickly on the second match is PC419 versus Bizarre. That one's super important for the placings. Basically, if they get the 2-0, they can sort of decide their own fate in that one, but that's for later. So let's move back to this one here. Why has Bitter Hems restructuring been so scary for Skyfire here, Cthulhu?
Well, yeah, Bitter Hems, they managed to just kind of evolve their playstyle, or at the very least change it up a little bit. We did talk to Hamio before when the restructure just happened, and they were playing, I believe that was their first official match when they were all together, and they were quite a scary force when they played against PC419, as I believe they took it to just about 7-5, 7-4 scoreline, so fairly close to being able to chuck it into the overtime, and then who knows what could have happened further down the line. But apart from that, really, it's a very kind of unpredictable roster. It's only, I believe, 1 or 2 remaining players that are remaining from the previous X-Blessed lineup, so it's definitely a bit of a dark horse moment here for Skyfire to play against. But at the very least, with Skyfire, you got some really good fragging power in its entirety.
Yeah, well, I mean, we've been going on about rosters for a while here, so let's take a look at who's actually going to be jumping onto the field. In kind of an opposite way, Skyfire just have a solid roster that have been jumping onto the fields every single week, and that's Archie, Smacker, Jigsaw, Kubrian, and Sequence. Every single one of these guys has had their POG moments. They've all stepped up to the plate at some point, so I think overall, very consistent looking, strong team.
Yeah, all of them been able to frag out, all of them been able to play those flexible / support positions. So this is a very well-sided roster. They cover pretty much all of the needed bases. All of them are fantastic gunners. So here for them, they just need to keep their composure and need to actually show up on the right day if they do want to claim that 2-0.
Yeah, and showing up today is going to be what matters, because they're up against Bitter Hems, and these guys, we've been talking about their restructure. Let's look at what it looks like. You got Hamio, Crix, Jack, Ryan, and Namni, kind of depending on whether you're me or Cthulhu from last week. But yeah, looking at these guys, I mean, a lot of them did impress last week, but they still didn't get the win.
Yeah, they couldn't get the big dub, but ultimately, yeah, it was still a very solid lineup that was able to give at least the run for the money for other teams. But yeah.
So let's take a look at where they're playing, Cthulhu, because of course the maps are going to be very important. So first up, we're going to be going to Oregon, and then we're going to have some fun in Theme Park. We haven't seen that one for a while.
Yeah, we haven't seen a whole lot of Theme Park whatsoever, and even within this very roster, yeah, we haven't seen BLS, Bitter Hams at this point to really play out Theme Park. So this is definitely going to be a bit of a kind of stab in the dark, you could say. But apart from that, yeah, it's should be a pretty interesting matchup nonetheless, because for Skyfire, Oregon has been becoming more and more of their kind of main map, where before it was Coastline where we would mainly see Skyfire perform and just go absolutely ham, but their last results were quite impressive, I gotta say. I mean, we seen them get an absolute stomp against ShadowNet, which was still a very impressive showcase. But apart from that, their most recent performance against Ferox, which resulted in an overtime loss. So they were very, very close against Ferox there, and they were able to really show some very close, very intensive gameplay of Siege.
Yeah, and imagine if they did actually swing that overtime. Imagine how different that leaderboard would look. We'd have maybe a 4-way tie for second to fifth if that draw did end up happening. But alas, it didn't. So we're sitting in this position. But Oregon, yes, very favorite map right now for a lot of teams. I think a lot of them are just getting a good feel for it ever since the rework came out. Now they're feeling a lot more comfortable on it. So it is getting picked up a lot more. Theme Park will be a fun one when we get to it. We don't see that one probably as often as we think, but I think we'll get to that one when we get there, because we know Oregon. We saw it, I think, twice last night. So it still kept popping up. Teams know what they're doing on here. I wonder if we're going to see any adaptations from strategies we've seen from other teams. Clash has been kind of sprinkled around here in some of the strategies, ShadowNet being probably the biggest one, but other teams have shown it as well. So I wonder if that's going to show up into the bans, or if it's going to get slipped through, and we have to see if teams are going to handle it. I think the main point is there's just so much footage of Oregon right now, and recent footage of it too, that teams have a lot to work with here at the moment. So I think we're going to see probably the biggest brain plays kind of matched up here tonight, and I think that's probably the best way for Bitter Hems to win as well. They definitely need to bring something a little new and radical to the table, so I'm keen to see how creative they're going to be tonight.
Yeah, for Bitter Hams, yeah, they need to be just either unpredictable and just go for the full-on kind of absolute galaxy brain rank star fragger kind of mentality and just go in and swing everything, or they might have some of the rather more prepared strats this time. I'm rather more probably interested as to why they picked Theme Park.
Yeah.
Part of me probably says that it's just because it was barely played a whole lot on officials, so wouldn't be a whole lot of VODs. Teams wouldn't really be that prepared for it, and they could just probably play off the fact that it's not as much of a well-known or well-played map by a whole bunch of teams. So this could be one of the reasons why Bitter Hems ended up picking the Theme Park.
A little theory here as well is that Bitter Hems have already kind of locked in their spot on the leaderboard. It's not going to change. They're still going to be relegated, whether they maybe if they can pull out 2-2-0s, but I think even then bans are still slightly just out of reach. But that said, maybe this is where they start throwing out some more experimental strategies, which I think would be really exciting to see. It would be the way for them to pick up some wins. Not to say they can't do it conventionally. Like, that's certainly on the table for sure, but it's always scary when you're going up against a team that's kind of rated higher than you, and you just sort of go in with the same plan as them, hoping to execute it better, because, chances are they're going to, if they've already been doing it the last few times. But, I think maybe we might see some more experimental picks and map choices, strategies, operator picks, all that good stuff. If not tonight, then maybe next week when some of the teams are definitely locked in. But Bitter Hems have a chance to come back, but it pretty much has to be a 2-0 tonight, and that is a pretty scary ask, but also a scary thought for Skyfire, because we haven't even talked about how much they kind of need and expect this 2-0.
Yeah, Skyfire definitely need that 2-0 to get themselves already locked into that top 4, just to ensure that they're going to be, no matter what, locked in there. And after that, they're just going to be watching essentially who's going to be the last team that will be locked in essentially into that top 4. Genuinely quite curious to see, because between, say, PC419 and Bizarre, this is going to be a very even, I reckon, matchup. to say at the very least. Albeit, BC has been occasionally being a little bit lackluster on general kind of coordination sometimes, or maybe it feels like it's just the timing wasn't in their favor on a few of the matchups that they did have. Whereas Bizarre, they are kind of somewhat of a fresh roster, at least comparative to what we saw before. But we'll have to delay the theory crafting about the second matchup for a little bit later, as we are just transferring straight into the Oregon of Skyfire versus Bitterhams.
Yeah, plenty of time to worry about match number 2 when we get there, Cthulhu, because Oregon, we're jumping right on into it. I had some ideas that maybe some interesting bands might pop out after we've seen so many teams play out on them, so we'll keep our eyes here for now. I'm real keen to just jump into it, because you've got Bitterhams on defense first. I think that's where a lot of teams feel probably the most comfortable, the safest. You don't really have to go as risky when you're playing on the defense, so definitely some pretty cool opportunities there for Bitterhams, but I also want to see them on attack. I want to see what they're going to bring, but I think they need to come out of this defense with a pretty solid half. You're looking like no less than a 2-4. Anything worse than that is pretty terrible, and even that's going to be pretty hard. So you're really looking at least a draw, but we're actually seeing mostly pretty normal looking bands here. I mean, nothing too crazy at the moment. Kaid sticks out a little bit, but it's still a useful operator, and Mira is no surprise.
Yeah, probably the biggest impact here is going to be Kaya, just because he's been used quite a fair bit during the previous matchups, even yesterday's matchups that we saw. The moment Kaya was not there, he wasn't able to cover some of the walls, some of the hatches, and it definitely made a whole lot easier for some of the teams to really go for the breaches. Here in specific manner, it's going to be an easy time for Hibana to get the breaches onto the hatches if it's going to be a laundry defense, or for that matter, is just potentially going to be an easy time just getting the breach open into the attic if it's a top floor defense with Kali especially.
Yeah, the other thing being Kali popping out, because of course, no Thatcher, you need to deal with that annoying little bandit, and that the whole bandit trick dance is going to be super annoying. Maybe not for this first site here on Kid Storms, but as we hit the basement, that's probably where it's going to pop up a little more, but we'll talk about that when we get there. Because Cthulhu, round number 1's about to start. It's all thanks to WD Black, who've been supporting us the whole way through. Fastest loading into the round yet, thanks to them. So let's kick things off here. Skyfire, they're here to do business. They are here to just clean up, get a 2-0 that everyone expects them to get, and then wait for week number 7, where they face Exto to really test their top 4. But Bitterhams, their redemption starts now. Their honor starts to come back now if they can pick up this series. So there's a lot of what they can bring in here.
10 seconds left before insertion.
And this could be a huge thing if Bitterhams would end up scoring a 2-0 here against Skyfire. Not only would absolutely mess up a whole bunch of chances for Skyfire to be in the top 4, I believe, it's also just in general gonna potentially put Bitterhams to a chance that they could contest points-wise with Bats. And that is already in its entirety going to be a very curious performance as well from both of the teams. For now, though, we are going to be seeing a very standard push through the big tower. Just nothing too unusual. Sequence should get a pretty easy riddance of the bandit charges, and no bandit tricking per se is going to be there as well.
Yeah, but no, man, this guy Namni, I wanted to talk about him a little bit, but he's already started things off by taking out Smacker. So no Hibana now available. This is going to be super annoying because you've got to just stick a thermite right up against the wall now. Skyfire, I mean, a man down. At least they've got a lot of time to work out how they're going to do this, but that's a rough one to lose, especially because Namni found it for free. And speaking of free, well, he's got to go get a refund because Ku Brian went to pick that one up.
Drop the bomb diffuser.
Yeah, we on numerous occasions we saw actually a whole lot of attacking teams just go for the very aggressive peeks through the doorways. That's another one down. Sequence, fantastic shot onto Ryan. Will be able to keep on the trades going. So 2 of the hard breaches gone. At the very least, the bare minimum breaching has been already done. So one of the avenues for the push is open. But Hamio's position is a very strong one. Not only because he can hide behind the skeleton of the bed that is fully metal. He has a very tight angle as well that can be held. And thankfully, though, for Skyfire, it's Jigsaw that is holding an angle at the white stairs, and right now, the defense is starting to get cornered. Plenty of damage being traded around, and Jigsaw is actually going to get downed and potentially finished off as well as they kill onto for Hamio, rather. But Skyfire are just too relentless. They will be able to take care of Hamio at the end of their round, and, well, bit of a shaky first round, but a first round win nonetheless here for the SKF roster.
Yeah, it was a lot closer than I kind of thought it was going to be. I thought Skyfire were probably going to be done and dusted once they started losing people, particularly the hard breaches really early on. I mean, at one point they had no Hibana and no Thermite. Like you said, though, they did get the bare minimum of their breaching done, so it wasn't the worst thing in the world, but they still came back from that. They still found some of these kills here. I mean, Kubrian through the wall, through the window was an excellent pickup. Back onto Namni, like basically exactly who you want to get. So, I mean, yeah, Skyfire to still pick up that round was very strong. So I'm kind of worried for Bitter Hems because they're not always going to be able to get those Namni picks right at the start of every round. So it could look very different. We could be seeing flawless rounds, but I'm not counting them out just yet.
Protect your bombs from being defused by...
All I'm going to say is that Skyfire are a very momentum-based team, at least in their, so far, previous matchups and previous games. Even the somewhat easier games for them, technically, you could take a look where they played against ShadowNet. It was a full, and I believe, 6-round swing by them. A full-on streak. Actually, sorry, make it 7. It was a full-on 7-round flawless streak back in Oregon as well when they played against ShadowNet. So here, if Skyfire will be allowed to gain that momentum for themselves and keep on scoring the rounds every time against Bitter Hems, this is going to be a very quick matchup.
Attacker's objective is to locate a bomb.
Going down to the basement now, where we have Bitter Hems another chance to try this one. It's again another one that you see quite often. Teams very familiar with the site and how to approach it. It all comes down to the approach from construction, I reckon. If the attackers can get through there quickly, then I think it's just a very clean wash from them from that point. But if Bitter Hems can hold Skyfire back at construction, kind of force them to start looking at different angles. Remember, there's no Kayed, so the hatches are going to be easier to breach. So yeah, Bitter Hems will still have to worry about that at that point, but that's kind of the start. So here's Skyfire's entry. Look to see Bitter Hems stop them here.
Yeah, already a quick breach by Mateus to get the point set up. As interestingly enough, nobody is actually even going to bother to really even contest the breaching. That's just going to be allowed. BLS, or ex-BLS rather, Bitter Hems, now just, yeah, giving away a free real estate there to Skyfire, and that is a dangerous thing. That is almost as if you are toying with the fire, and well, the fire can burn really, really quickly and be quite a nasty bit of pain. So here, yeah, I mean, maybe the Bitter Hems are just baiting in for a few positions, but maybe it's just, yeah, going to be an attempt to bandit trick, but that's about it. There's already an entry happening by the Hibana, and well, finding one kill, Smacker promptly also falling back should allow already a very nice recovery there by Skyfire.
Bitter Hems are just being cornered right now. They are being pinned totally down. They have so many avenues where they've got to start paying attention to. Now they're starting to fire back. They do get Kubrian, which is pretty great, but they're certainly going to need more than that, because look at these angles that they're starting to find here. Jigsaw's found his one onto Crix, because now Bitter Hems have to start making the moves, and make them they do. Jack picking up one and almost getting another one. Jigsaw on the threads of life itself. Defuser dropped in an awkward spot. This could be Bitter Hems' ticket back in. And this position by Jack, it's risky, it's dangerous, but it's getting the job done at the moment right now, holding them back. But more and more breaches are coming out, Cthulhu, and the time is ticking away. Skyfire are making the moves, and Jack, the hero that could have been, is slain, and Namni is quick to follow. Hamio, once again, the only one left standing. But 30 seconds, the plant's already happening, and he dies before it's even finished.
Yeah, Skyfire once again managed to prove that the moment you give them a millimeter to try to kind of have a bit of a nibble there, they would just chomp away at the whole thing. And yeah, they were able to just get some breaches very easily. Probably the only mistake, and well, not the mistake, rather the issue that Jack had was being unable to get rid of Hibana, because at the end it was Hibana that managed to force him out of his corner, out of that safe position that he had, and ultimately led to his demise. Apart from that, yeah, it felt really odd that Bitter Hams just kind of didn't really care about the bunker entrance. They didn't care about the electrical room. They just left kind of the reinforcements there, allowed the breach, and kind of from there it all ended up snowballing, as maybe they were thinking that there's going to be a push through the main staircase and the freezer maybe, but even that is resulted in a very slow set of rotations from them.
Attackers need to locate.
Yeah, and it kind of did come back from what I was saying, where if you can't hold the team back at construction, they do wash over you. It did take a little longer for Skyfire, because I liked how Bitter Hams reacted to it. They got cornered a little bit, but started biting back. You saw Jack taking those peaks, and that was their way back in. Of course, it didn't quite work out that way, and that's why you don't really give up as much space as you saw Bitter Hams give up, but hey, I mean, they did have the right way back in. It just didn't get executed well enough. But hey, there's still more rounds to come. Skyfire already 2 in a row right now, and I think they're feeling pretty confident after that last one. It went pretty smooth sailing, all things considered. And we're back on a site where they've already managed to take it. So this is all looking gravy right now. So just throw in the same operators, throw in the same plan. Nothing really needs to change with Skyfire. Bit of Hems though. We got Crix on Pulse. That could maybe be the difference maker. Big moments like C4 could be their way back in.
Yeah, it was a very interesting setup that Bitter Hams did downstairs in the kitchen, where they actually used a few of the castle barricades to reinforce the kitchen to allow some more safe space there for Crix, but curious if he will be able to realize that C4 from below, or whether he will be forced kind of out of his position, because we know that Skyfire are pretty full on when it gets down to the roam clear, so maybe this could be the play there for themselves. But Riot on the lurk could at least put a dent into the plans of Skyfire, who knows?
Well, that dent has been discovered pretty well. They know exactly what's going on. Crix also knows what's going on too, so there is intel coming out from both sides there. We've got spies going through the network at the moment, so everyone knows a little bit about each other's side, but we're still yet to see a kill. We're still yet to see a point of damage, despite some defenders maybe trying to camp a little bit, but it's mostly been about the breaching right now. Skyfire opening the doors and the pathway. It looks like they're getting most of what they want. A lot of holes now opening up, but it's going to be these two down here. Namni's actually taken a bit of damage, so someone must have seen him at some point, but these positions are interesting for sure by Bitter Hems, but I think the roam is definitely going to be what sells it. But Jack already being lost. Oh no, that's not good at all. They've traded quite a lot of damage back though, Cthulhu, so maybe they can finish off some of these kills, but they need to finish them off to make that damage worth it.
Yeah. Right now, it's a little bit of a shaky performance here for Bitter Hams. They have a few still very powerful positions, but the fact that so many places have been opened up, so many reinforced walls got cracked open by Skyfire, pretty much is leading to pretty much an inevitable demise there. Smacker is taking quite a fair bit of damage. Same goes for Jigsaw, and Ryan could potentially find those 2 frags, but ultimately right now, Skyfire are all just about to collapse right onto the site. Crix finally does manage to shut down Mateus, but once again, the moment 1 frag comes out from Bitter Hams, it seems 3 more follow up from Skyfire.
Crix, did you just C4 your teammate's corpse? Like, that's a little bit bad manners. A little bit mean. So that's going to be what you get. In fact, even a little bit more, as Jigsaw, you know, he wants to make this one a little bit special. And he's, you know, bobbing up and down with excitement at how happy he is at taking that round. But take it he does. And that's another one in the pocket for Skyfire. We saw 1 frag go back at some point, but things quickly fell apart for Bitter Hems. So I feel like this one is spiraling very quickly out of control here, Cthulhu. Skyfire just never seemed to even be sweating through a lot of these rounds. And, oh man, does it stick? Because that would be such a Skyfire thing to do. If the glass sticks to... Oh, okay, fine. Fine. Go to glass.
I would have been, quite honestly, I would have been surprised if we would have seen a glass to be picked out, especially by Skyfire when they already have Kali. So for long range, they already been covered pretty easily. But yeah, apart from that, really, it's just
Attackers need to locate and defuse
yeah, they didn't really need another glass. Even for the sheer fact of frag grenades, they didn't really get bothered by the fact that they were lacking on it. 3 sets,
Yeah,
fine,
but
make it
Skyfire
4
like
sets
their
of
memes.
flag. Yeah, they like the memes, but still, it's one of those things that at this point, it's just I don't think they would really care about any utility.
Yeah, well, maybe we'll see the memes at the later rounds. So, but I mean, they're teasing us with it,
10
with the
seconds
6
left.
picks. They're teasing
they
us
sure
with
are.
it. So I think they know what the viewers want. They know what the casters want. So, question is, when are we going to get it, guys? When are you going to send it over? Maybe when we get to match point, I think, and they've got plenty of room to drop 1 or 2 rounds, just in case. Not going to say they would, but it is going to be back down here. I think construction's going to be another big point here. It was where Skyfire took some pretty early control, but they were also up above over at the hatches as well. So. Well, it wasn't just construction last time where Bitterham's kind of let it down. It was sort of everywhere that Skyfire broke through.
Yeah, here, Bitterham's actually making a really nice attempt to try to deny at the very least one of the aspects that Skyfire were quite proficient on, and that is the droning. So instead, yeah, they have managed to slow things down just a little bit, and the potential advancement into the main tower is pretty much now completely gone and curbed. So yeah, already a pretty solid beginning for the round for Bitterhams. But right now it seems that Skyfire are just looking for more avenues to really try to take, because Crix is being pressured even more so now on his position. And well, Smacker with the breach of his X-Kairos pretty much should allow the electrical room to be taken pretty quickly.
This one's feeling a little better for Bitterhams right here because they've kept Skyfire back a little bit longer. They're not pushed back as far. Construction's been a lot safer, so it should look a little bit safer. And last time it was close, so this is looking okay. Hamio though is on the prowl, but Smacker has already got his job done. He's taken out the bandits. So any more breaches? Oh, Hamio! Oh, he does get the hunt down, but unfortunately the pack hunts together. And so Kubrian will send one back, and now it's just a bit of a trade. That was their ticket back in here, Cthulhu, and I think maybe that was their last one.
And not a whole lot of ways. Oh, Smacker is just now toying with some of the defenders. That was a naughty pick. Yeah, that was quite something out of just all the frag movies that a whole lot of people nowadays go for. But yeah, all of the breaches, just all the distractions are there. Mateus is there to also cover the frag onto Nani, and right now all down to Crix and Jack, and well, Crix has been down before, after getting the C4 kills. Jack actually does manage to find a flank over, but Skyfire are unrelenting. Smacker he's cracked right now. He's ready to frag it even more.
Yeah, I think that's the big thing here, is that everyone on Skyfire, Smacker in particular, they're just looking on form. They're looking like the Skyfire that we know deserves their position up here in the table, maybe even a little further up, and is exactly an example of why we've been saying, yeah, Skyfire are expected to come in here and 2-0 Bitterhams. This is why. Look, they've got 4-0. A lot of these rounds aren't even really looking that close. It's down to things like, just better mechanical play, but also down to just better strategy, better plans working out over the macro side of things for Skyfire. So in every aspect, Skyfire have turned up. For Bitterhams though, whether they're turning up or not, because it's hard to tell because it's a newer squad, but it's not looking like it did last week, where they were surprising us against PC419. So I feel like they're not showing up to form today, which is worrying for a team that really needed to have hope of upsetting Skyfire.
Yeah, I mean, like I said before, so right now Skyfire are just on that momentum, on that streak for themselves, and yeah, if Bitterhams are not going to be able to even find a single round to just even slow down that onslaught of rounds, that bleed of rounds for themselves, this is going to be a very quick map, number one. I'm not too sure whether Bitter Hams are kind of just at this point maybe trying to have some fun with a few plays here, maybe experiment around. But surely right now, it is probably not one of their better performances, at least comparative to what we saw them against PC4.
I will give some of their individual moments to them right now. Hamio and Jack, they've been having some pretty great sneaky moments. Their roams have been working out, or, you know, the peaks in Jack's cases. Yeah, Hamio won't find anything here, but, you know, it's just the problem is that when they have these moments, it's when it's in like 1v3 or 2v4 or 5 or something, where the round's pretty much over already. So we got to see those moments a little earlier on. By the time Hamio gets his roam done, someone's already dead for Bitter Hams. So it needs to happen a little earlier. But as we can see, Skyfire are going to be approaching this round here from, well, an angle that Bitter Hams are only a little bit looking at.
Yeah, for Skyfire, they so far have been pretty clinical about taking control of the big tower. Quite curious as to how did BLS not kind of see it, but it's been fairly consistent. Jack is going to try to do a bandit trick and will be actually quite successful. There it is. That's one of the Brimstone charges off the board. And now maybe Smack and Mateus will try to get things going for themselves, maybe on a different floor, because there is no bandit there. It's bandit trick, so it should be an easy breach, and maybe from there apply pressure from down below, and that should make things a whole lot easier.
Yeah, and now it's starting to begin. The pressure starting to mount, but Jigsaw's already started to move back already, so not actually that aggressive right at the moment from Skyfire, but the peaks are starting to come out. Jigsaw toying with Death, and same thing with Smacker. In fact, everyone's starting to make their looks happen. Jack, on the brink of death, has to look away from the flash. Knows that he's going to hold his position. Namni held his and got Smacker, and Jack keeps his end of the bargain up and just gets another one. This is the round for Bitter Hams to come back, and they want to do it flawlessly. Someone keep Jack alive. Don't ruin it for their moment right here. Jigsaw, someone find this guy, put him out of action, give Bitter Hams the round.
Oh yeah, finally Bitter Hams are now fully activated. They finally managed to read into the plays of Skyfire and being able to shut them down off that momentum. Jack, by a miracle, to be honest, able to survive that pressure from down below with the Ash charges. But Jigsaw right now is just, yeah, he's playing time. He's going to talk it out with the team. Maybe see if they can get themselves back in check and get the frags up and running. Because if not, then Bitter Hams could potentially run away with a fair few other more rounds. But as it stands, really, he's on the prowl. He wants to find at least some exit kills. Does manage to find the tricks. Yeah, there's no flawless for Bitter Hams at all. But he's completely unaware where's the remainder, and now is just going to wait for the frags to come to him and or maybe stat pad a little bit more.
Just let Jack live. He deserves it.
You have run out of time.
He deserves it after holding that position, getting that double kill, really bringing it in. We didn't really see what happened with Namni, but his kill onto Smacker as well, very impactful. I mean, it was all just a pretty swift execution from there, where I imagine it just felt like Skyfire thought they had the position. They weren't ready for those peek outs coming out from Jack. And I imagine Namni as well. So big props to them. They got a solid round there. There was really no question in them taking that round too. So if they can keep that form up, then sure. I mean, sure, I can see a bunch more rounds, maybe even the map coming back their way. But that's the first sign we've seen of play like that so far. We need to see it happen again. And I don't know if Skyfire are going to kind of let it happen, because that's the thing. I think they sort of walked into it last round.
No, yeah, it almost felt like it was rather BH kind of set up the trap there against Skyfire and just allowed them to walk in just a little bit closer to the fire and then got them to get burned. So, not a bad idea, not a bad performance whatsoever. I mean, a nearly flawless round, not considering the fact that Jigsaw at the end just went for a few of the exit frags. This is already a pretty good showcase, finally a good response from Bitter Hams comparative to their first 4 rounds. So here they're going to be looking at potentially repeating that success, and Ryan's Frost Mats could at least be a partial solution to some of the pushes, or at least slowing them down and giving some more indication as to where the push could be coming from.
You know, I think I'm going to flip-flop and change my favorite operator to watch again, because Frost has the funniest moments. You just see someone running, and, you know, everyone does it. Everyone runs into a Frost trap occasionally. Oh, hang on, Jack. What are you up to, mate? He's running straight out. Does he find anything? No. He just says hello to the world and runs back in. But anyway, what I was saying is it's so funny to watch people just run into traps, because you know what it feels like. You just weren't looking.
Yeah, it's just that split-second moment of, oh, heck! And you're already down but not out.
Yeah, there's a good reason you're not looking, but, like, that's all it is.
Exactly. Well, talking about not looking, the wall will be, into the walk-in closet will be quite swiftly opened up. So Smacker just being given pretty much a carte blanche there to try to get another avenue opened up for his team. Apart from that, really, yeah, Skyfire are just waiting for the right moment to go in for the peaks. There's a few ballistic shields that they may need to get rid of, but those can be pretty much approached from just a slightly different angle, and after that, that's pretty much all that you need to really have going for yourself. Sequence here on the entry could potentially find a few frags if he's extra careful, and if the drone ahead of him should give him just enough of the info. But apart from that, he's just waiting for the rest of his team to start going for the advancement to really just snowball the whole push.
Yeah, he's just waiting for that glorious one tap. Just waiting patiently. Probably would have liked to be looking around now, but that's okay. That's all right. So we're just going to open up a few more holes at the moment. Namni again going on a bit of a mission, but I think they know what's going on. So he's been forced to rush back over to the point. We still have Sequence keeping that line of sight locked down, and Smacker, meanwhile, has taken a bit of damage too. But for now, we're nearing that final minute. Oh, the peak has to happen. And Crix, well, he reacts to it in time, gets that one onto Jigsaw, doesn't take anything, and just keeps it going. Smacker now gone too. This could be Bitter Hems with another round. Crix will fall, but he's done his job.
Yeah, the damage has been done, as well as that Ryan, to follow suit, was able to keep the man count very much in favor of Skyfire, as Kubrian does manage to find the shot onto Nami, but he is extremely tagged up, and right now it's pretty much all down to Mateus to try to get some of the swings going to maybe push it into a 2v2, but with him not being able to spot on any of the info gathering tools like the cameras, nor any of the defenders, things are definitely going to be looking quite dicey, especially that with the fact that the two of the Skyfire players are very much detached from each other right now.
Please, someone walk into a frost trap. Oh, well, I guess that'll do too. That will do too. Bitter Hems. They clean up the round there. It was a little dicey, but they kicked it off strong. Crix being the hero at the start, and then the rest follow it up there at the end. So Bitter Hems are definitely showing signs of life. I said they had to do it again, and they did do it again. So they're turning to impress me, and they even got the 2-4 half that I said would be acceptable for them to come back. Obviously, it's not preferable, but it's definitely not the worst thing we've seen, and you know, especially after 4 rounds in a row by Skyfire. But now we've swapped places, and now we get to see if they can keep it up.
I'm more so here interested in the fact that if Skyfire could get back on their momentum, because we saw them, like you said just now, that they were on that 4-round streak. Can they get themselves another streak, or whether it's now Bitter Hems' show now, where they are the ones that are going to be in control of the pace, in control of how the round will go, and maybe even soon take control of the scoreline as well. Because, I mean, like we mentioned, we talked about it even prior to the beginning of the broadcast, Bitter Hems were a very interesting team, to say at the very least. They were busting out some of the rather more unusual for the officials kind of matchups meta, and rather going for more of a rank style fragging. Apart from that, they didn't really have a whole lot of
10 seconds left.
Stable things going for them. So that kind of instability, that volatility of their performances, it's a blessing and a curse at the same time, because they sometimes can be so unpredictable that they will confuse the opposing team, and sometimes it's also they end up confusing themselves and and allowing the opposing team to kind of get the read on as to what is happening.
That's the old classic. If I don't know what I'm doing, how will my enemy know what I'm doing?
How will my enemy know what I'm doing?
Exactly. It's a foolproof strategy, Cthulhu. There's no way you can lose. And right now, I mean, both teams are certainly looking not to lose here. Skyfire have probably more on the line to lose here if they do, so they definitely want to come in here and clean it up. Their first round here on defense, very gunfight heavy with the dock being thrown in here. I imagine it was also Smacker wanting to get a peek, and we didn't see him doing it, but I imagine that's what he was doing. But yeah, for now, I think Skyfire just want to hold down. They don't want to do anything too crazy. Maybe Mateus does some kind of crazy roams, maybe Jigsaw, but everyone else is going to be anchoring down pretty normally. And this is why. Because they want to be able to find Hamio, and they can't do it. He's able to get the first peek, finds Jigsaw, gets him out. Kubrian's in trouble too on the other side of the thermite charge. Now he's going to have to move out of the way. Oh no! He gets found on the retreat and will be taken out, but it's still being traded out here. This is still a pretty intense few moments of the match, but then we get a moment to breathe here, as it's going to be the defenders holding the line.
Yeah, with the timing now starting to draw closer and closer to the conclusion, Smacker finding a very nice shot, very solid peek onto Nani to get rid of the Zofia, but there's also a Jackal holding a very nice angle at the doorway. Could have taken out Smacker, but apart from that, really nothing has been quite solid there from Bitterham's push. There's still quite a nice crossfire already also pre-set up, and Mateus is going to be potentially the first person to respond onto any aggression that Bitterham's could try to bring off. They are kind of suspecting that there could be a defender in the attic, but no 100% confirmation, and they're very scared of pushing that. There is going to be an attempt to pressure the white stairs as well to get just another angle to contest and to split the overall attention of the defenders, but
look at this!
Oh, Mateus, he knows there is a play, there is a plan that will be stuck actually by Ryan and won't be tagged up in any shape or form. The C7 is just better as well. Krix is just going hard for his team, and now it is all turned around all of a sudden in favor of Bitter Hands as they're just about on the brink of claiming the third round for themselves.
Oh man, his head was poking out. They almost had it. Sequence. 25 seconds to basically click on 3 different heads in a second. Yeah, good luck finding that one. Bitterhams, I mean, they claimed that one. They worked efficiently well at it. They got some very fantastic frags, and they even got that sneaky little plant. I mean, I think it just threw Skyfire into a little bit of disarray when they couldn't deny it. Even you saw the gas bomb go out as well. That didn't connect. Ryan didn't take any damage from it. Obviously, all the shots didn't hit him. So, I mean, just great work on them to find a way to get that plant. It totally secured them around there at the end. But this is now 3 rounds in a row for Bitterhams.
Yeah, Bitterhams were able to ramp up their own kind of momentum here to respond onto those 4 rounds initially that came out from Skyfire's offense. So here, maybe finding the 4th one could be the big play here and just try to ramp up that comeback, and maybe a reverse sweep onto Skyfire in any shape or form could be a very huge step that would not only crush potentially Skyfire's momentum and partially the morale, maybe also would be able, would definitely could also solidify the fact that Skyfire could miss out on that top 4 position, I believe.
And they really need to do it in a 2-0 fashion too. I mean, Skyfire can't really afford to drop map 1. I mean, yeah, there's maybe some worlds where they come back in here, but with how tight the top 4 is, they need this 2-0 here against Bitterhams. We'll talk about it, I think, between maps, because you get into all the maths of the leaderboard and round robins, and that'll take a while, but yeah, short story is Skyfire need both maps, so otherwise it just gets way too hard. So we're going to go back down to the basement here. This is one that has been some pretty quick takes when Skyfire was on attack, so let's see how they do it here on defense once again. As it looks like it's going to be a little different here on the approach here by Bitterhams.
Yeah, they're going to try to have some pressure coming out to the bunker, kind of to simulate what Skyfire were doing, but they also, I believe, are going to be going for the freezer push as well. There are a few drones to the southwest side that indicate that very thing. So with the fact that Crix is also already in the main lobby and partially in the study room as well as that, there's a Hibana, or rather, not Hibana, IQ maybe, who just pushed up into the main lobby. There's full setup to go in for the push onto the main stairs as well. So right now, Skyfire are about to get their hands full, and each and every member would have to really perform.
I was getting a little worried as well, because Bitterhams was spending a lot of time making sure they weren't getting caught out by the roams, but they've already lost Hamio, so this is now going to be a very difficult push here. They are going to struggle to get all the angles to close in against Skyfire right now to truly pin them down and flush them out of all the different sites. Jack has been having a pretty monster game, all things considered, particularly early on. So he definitely needs to clutch up here on this round here if he wants to win this one for his team. Will he get the spot? The peak comes out. Looks like it's just going to be a few bullets and no one to take any damage, but now they know the Jack is definitely there. Ryan's now here for some backup, and the flashes come out. They don't hit anyone, but Mateus will kill Jack, and now this is looking pretty dicey. Jigsaw will get traded back, and in fact, that's just Ryan getting a double kill here. He does lose half his health, but 2 kills for half your health bar. Hell yeah.
Hell yeah, indeed. Skyfire now about to try to get some retaliation there, but Smacker already having so many of his utility being burnt out. The Jaeger AD is completely gone, but Crix at the very least is able to get downed, and well, that's a sure moment for Smacker to pick up that double kill, all down to the IQ, but Skyfire are not forgiving this one. The moment there was a slip up in Bitterhams' coordination, this is where Skyfire pounced and grabbed that win.
Yeah, you could see them all just move at once. They easily move as a unit. You can tell how they move as a team. So now they're starting to pick up some of these rounds again. It's feeling like we're a little more back to normal, but at least we have Bitterhams that have risen up their level a little bit. So the teams should be seeing some more competitive rounds here, but Skyfire sure got a bit of a head start. They got so many rounds in a row here. They're now getting close to that match point. They probably would have wanted to have finished this one here by now, considering how the start went, but that's all right. It looks like the defensive rounds are looking a little more consistent here. I'm a little worried here for Bitterhams coming into this round. Remember how much they put into dealing with roaming. It looks like they're probably going to do a similar thing here. Jackal's available, so a great anti-roaming operator. No surprises to see them picking him up as well. I can see the Bitterhams want to take this head on and not deal with any roaming, which is understandable, but the problem is half the time they don't deal with the roaming. They get caught out by it.
Yeah, that's a huge thing that, it seems that it's still been plaguing Bitterhams for quite a fair bit. The fact that they are either a little bit unsure on what's happening with the roams, or rather how to clear it out, or at which timing, seeming to be definitely putting quite a
10 seconds to insertion.
Quite an issue there for themselves. Crix, though, on the other hand, has been, even as a solo player, has been performing really well for the team. Being able to take some of the nice double kills to swing in the favor into his team's side. And, well, unfortunately wasn't able to find any more, but at the very least, so far, this has been a fairly competitive scoreline for both of the teams.
Yeah, I mean, Bitterhams surprising quite a lot of people, but I think they need more than just a few. I don't want to call them fluke rounds because they did them in a row, but it will feel like that if they don't pick up any more for now. So they will need a little bit more to actually get the wins. These close enough maps are just not good enough anymore. And Crix, he's stepping it back up. I mean, somehow he just keeps finding Smacker in some of these rounds. Poor Smacker. He's either getting amazing rounds or getting killed early.
Time to make a new tour.
Yeah, Smacker has been so far seeing a little bit of a fluctuating performance. He is already on double digits, so at the very least, that's one way to kind of have a showcase for him. But yeah, apart from that, losing him out that early is not a great thing, albeit Jigsaw has been able to prove from match-to-match performance that he is a very able fragger and a very able flex player as well.
Oh, okay, they do stop Namni outside the window. The sequence had Mateus's back. So that's already now one frag for Bitterhems. That's another great start. Getting Smacker out of the way is always awesome, but unfortunately losing Namni just evened it back up. And so now we're back to square one, but without Namni, it feels like it could be a little rough. They're not finding the shots they need through the windows here. They don't really have the numbers in terms of people to force Skyfire into these awkward little corners, know exactly where they are, and you can get a great little pre-fire on them. Bitterhems are now like very spread out around the map here. And that time, I mean, there's still a minute, but they're going to want to group up here at some point.
Yeah, they seeming a little bit detached from each one another. There's they're going in either in pairs or in solo. Jigsaw is very much prepared. Oh no, Jigsaw's side will actually be blocking Jack's whole body, and that is an unfortunate loss there for the Jaeger. But at the very least, Sequence is having a fantastic time spraying things down. Crix and Ryan quite promptly now off the board, and now down to Jack and Hamio to try to get the win here in a 2v3 situation. Sequence is very tagged up, so he might be playing a little bit more passive, but right now Hamio is actually going to try to switch around the positions and try to rendezvous with Jack. So here could be a very good peak. Mateus with a white swing does manage to find the frag, but right now Hamio is actually able to dish out some heat back as well.
15 seconds to go.
Yeah, you can see how intense he is right now. He knows that he has the potential to clutch this out. It's in his toolkit. He's got to see if he can do it. Unfortunately, this round won't be the one, and Skyfire will move on to match point here, while Bitterhems are now going to be fighting for their lives.
Yeah, already a very nice match point there for Skyfire to kind of at least give them some confidence that they might just be able to grab that dub at least on this map. But we saw a fair few times when teams would get to that match point and then start crumbling down under the pressure of that match point as well for themselves, so psyching themselves out. So it's not over yet, I reckon. We still might be seeing maybe a round or two to come out from Bitterhems, I'll give them that. But apart from that, yeah, it seems a little bit like they still need to work on their chemistry, and that's not a bad thing. I mean, it's already quite a feat that they were able to pull off to give PC419 previously a run for their money, to be able to get a streak of rounds here against Skyfire for such a fresh roster. It's already it's still a pretty solid run.
Yeah, it's a little unfortunate that they didn't get some of the other matches in the later weeks, because instead it's a lot of the harder teams like Skyfire, PC419, Bazaar. Unfortunately, like, I would have been really keen to see this Bitterhems line up against ShadowNet, so hopefully we get something like that in the future, because I imagine we'll see them again, of course, depending on how this one goes. I mean, we may see it confirmed in a round, but this is essentially them fighting for relegation life at the moment, because they drop a round in this map, then suddenly, I believe that just takes them completely out of contention. If they get a 2-0 here, then maybe they can overtake Bats, but as it stands, they need both of them. So if they drop this one, it's gone. So they'll be feeling maybe a bit of pressure if that's what's on their minds. But I have a feeling that Bitterhems aren't too worried about that. And Namni, well, I mean, why change anything up too crazily? Just shut that business down. Mateus, let them spawn.
A bomb
I wonder where was even Mateus even, because that would have been a very nice long shot there done by the Nomad player, but
it had to be really long.
Yeah, it had to be really long, because it wasn't in the small tower. I don't think that he was trying to peek from the hallway, but all the speculations apart for now, is Jigsaw who's going to try to slow down the pressure, because there is a full 5-man lineup there ready to blast things out, and it's Jack with the Kali sniper rifle will be able to get things going.
I mean, we are seeing some signs of life from Skyfire here. They can bring it back, but they've already lost Doc, they've lost Jigsaw as well. The diffuser being in an awkward spot, maybe, but no, that's, yeah, that is pretty awkward actually. Kubrian had that one locked down. I think maybe they can manage to snag it back. Yeah, they do, they got it around the corner, but spending a life to get the diffuser back, now you're even. In fact, you look at the hit points, slightly behind. Jack actually getting a plant down. Does Skyfire come out and take the bait? Because the plant was not locked down. They actually didn't complete it, so they're going to start it all up again. Skyfire are eventually going to take that bait, and they bite it off hard, and they can chew it all the way down. And now, there's no plant to happen. Bitterhems falling one by one. And in seconds, Skyfire pick up the map.
What a convincing scoreline here for Skyfire to take control of here. 7-3 scoreline. Very nicely done by SKF here. And yeah, we are going to be seeing them at the very least giving themselves a 1 point, so that should at least partially solidify their position. But they need one more map. But looking at the overall trend so far, at least even throughout this map, I wouldn't be surprised if we are going to be seeing yet another 7-3, maybe 7-4 on Theme Park. Although Skyfire, I think, only played it once, and that was quite a while ago, whereas Bitterhems never really played it, at least with this current roster. So this is going to be maybe more so now a battle of who can outgun one another.
Yeah, I mean, maybe we get a little bit of a frag battle, especially now that Bitterhems, I imagine, will be a little more unleashed, I think. But we'll have to wait for a bit of a break as we get the players ready. So everyone go grab a drink, because we'll be back in a few minutes with Theme Park. Well, welcome back, LPL fans, as we are smack bang right dab in the middle of the match between Bitterhems and Skyfire. Skyfire already picking up map 1 on Oregon. Maybe not as one-sided as they would have wanted it to be, but Bitterhems showing sign of life. And maybe they can bring it back here on Theme Park here, Cthulhu. But what do you reckon? I mean, how do they really have a chance here? They showed signs of life. Was it really enough?
There were a few signs of life there. There were a few attempts, but ultimately it seemed that they were still a little bit unorganized in some of their pushes. Theme Park could be one of those maps where we could be seeing some really good playstyles from both of the teams, just because we didn't really see him perform a whole lot of plays, a whole lot of matches on Theme Park. So it's going to be a bit of a dark horse moment there for both teams. So maybe it's going to be just two ranked teams just duking it out with almost a death match there for themselves. I mean, who knows at this point, because Skyfire are a very able fragging team. Bitterhems showed us that they are able to frag out really well the moment the moment they are in their element. And yeah, so there's a whole lot of variables and a whole lot of things that could be coming into play, but we're still yet to figure out which ones are going to be the plays.
Yeah, and just to keep everyone on board, we are making sure the players are ready before we jump into the lobby, which is taking just a little longer than expected. So bear with us, and we'll be on Theme Park in just a moment. It's under maintenance at the moment. They're fixing some of the rides there. I don't know, the Theme Park.
They're cleaning up the floors as well, mopping it up from all the previous matchups as well.
Dude, Theme Park is a mess, man. Like, it's going to take forever to clean it up. Like, if you want to invite people in, the place has crap all over the floor. I mean, have you seen the operators, the players that go in there as well? They start setting up and putting barricades up and knocking the vases off the floor and the paintings off the walls.
They're not even wiping the boots when they come inside as well. So there's going to be mud just all over the place.
It's not just the defenders. The attackers come in and they get their dirty drones, like with their probably muddy wheels, tracking mud through the whole house. Like, you're never getting Theme Park ready in maintenance right now. So I guess the players will probably just have to deal with it. We'll get it ready within a few minutes for them. I'd say, just to get everyone on the same page, if you know what I mean. But it's certainly going to be an interesting one because we don't see Theme Park a whole lot, as messy as it is. But it means that there's not a lot of VOD footage, at least in LPL Pro, for a lot of these matches. Teams are going to be, like you said, maybe fighting behind a bit of a screen here. They don't know as much about what the other team is going to be able to do. And it could just come down to frags here. But, I mean, that still seems like it favors Skyfire. It feels like they are still just going to walk in here, and I'm still expecting them to come in here with an easy round. I don't think they're going to drop too many rounds at all.
I mean, we could be seeing maybe about a streak of 3 happen again from BH. they are able to take some rounds off Skyfire. I don't think this will be a 7-1 or 7-0 game here for SKF roster, but certainly the odds are definitely in their favor. BH definitely need to at least take a map off them. Obviously, the 2-0 is no longer a possibility, at least for tonight, for them, but there's still possibilities of, at the very least, messing up with the chances for Skyfire here. So at that point, it's just maybe rather more of a question, how many sticks can they chuck into the wheels of the Skyfire machine?
Well, they just need to throw one, right? If they win this map, then Skyfire's chances are pretty harshly crushed. There's still some worlds where they come back in, and I said we need some time to talk about it, which is probably good now, while we're waiting for the players, because Skyfire still need the 2-0 here, because basically, let me set it up, right? There's 3 teams fitting into the 3rd, 4th, and 5th place spot. We only want the 3rd and 4th, and so that's Bazaar, Skyfire, and PC419. All of these teams have, one easy match and one hard match coming up, and now we're about to get into it. But basically, this is the Skyfire easy match, because their hard match is against Exto next week. So they need the 2-0 here, because the other teams they care about and need to beat in this 3-way tie, their easy match is next week, because they're playing tonight. In fact, it's in the next match. But let's bring it all back here, because all of that, it comes down to this map. It all comes down to Theme Park. And if Bitterhams can upset Skyfire, it would be hilarious, unless you're a Skyfire fan. But we're all still expecting Skyfire to pick it up here, because after all, it's their easy match.
Yeah, could be an easy match, or maybe not. Well, it is going to be Theme Park to kick things off. Looking at the bans as well, it's interesting that it's Bitterhams that are banning Jackal here on Theme Park, after it was them being the only side that did use Jackal on attack. So here it's going to potentially be their game. They seem to have a pretty solid idea as to what they might want to do, but yeah, the rounds will be the main showcase of whether they are prepared or not.
Yeah, the other thing as well is Jackal's just a powerful operator. Teams, if they know they can use him well, then they'll be able to pick him up. So it kind of suggests maybe, at least when Bitterhams go to defense, maybe they want to throw out some pretty heavy roams if Jackal's going to be banned off, or maybe it's just because they know it's a strong pick and they just want to get it out of there. Same thing with a few of the other bans, though. It's all looking pretty normal. I mean, of course, we're always going to see Mirror, but Maestro pops up here and there too. But here we are now, round number 1. We're going to drop in some operators here as we load up, getting ready for the next map here on Theme Park, thanks to Conquer, our monitor sponsor for the league. Because this one, like I said, Skyfire needs to pick it up. And to be honest, I think, if you just forget all the points and the leaderboard positions, I think just to give themselves the best showing for next week and then into playoffs, they need to come in here and just sweep Bitterhams. Because if you're gunning for the top, then a team like Bitterhams at the moment should not really be on your radar. You shouldn't really be worried about them. So every round dropped here should feel like a very big victory for Bitterhams to take that away from Skyfire.
Yeah, we'll have to see how will Skyfire perform here. Looking at the overall lineup, nothing too unusual. I mean, Sequence has now taken control of Doc rather than Samaka or Mateus, so interesting how he will perform. They are bringing in another bulletproof camera, so that should allow to at the very least support the info gathering game that Mateus will be bringing in with the Valkyrie. Whereas on the side of Bitterhams, the main offender here looking to be the infamous, the one and only Ying.
Yeah, actually, I'm surprised we didn't really pick up on that yet. The Ying coming in is really funny. It's kind of weird to see coming out from Bitterhams, but like we were saying, it's what they've got to do if they want to take down a team like Skyfire. They've got to be a little creative. They can't just go up and do the same thing Skyfire are doing. We've got to get that Bitterhams flavor, and I like it. I want to see it work. So let's hold our breath here, Cthulhu, and see what Ryan can show us on Ying.
Yeah, Ryan could do a fair few things as well if his team is able to play off the momentum from those Candela charges. But talking about the momentum, it's going to be Jigsaw that will be setting up the beginning, and that is actually a dual drop down. Actually, a full-on potentially spray down as well. Jigsaw with a double makes it a total of a triple, and Ryan right now is looking very tagged up. Crix is very lone, and now completely gone. Sequence finding another one there to support the team, and all down to Crix to try to maybe get a few frags before the round ends.
That could not have gone more wrong. I mean, you lose Hamio at the start, and you're already thinking, okay, this is a tough one, boys. And then you drop down straight into a double kill that just is not contested at all. Crix had the right idea right after that. He just jumped off the building. He didn't want to have anything to do with it. And, I mean, obviously it was very quickly won after that, but I don't think we can take too much into that round, Cthulhu. I mean, that was just... I mean, apart from the entry frag, then the double kill, I mean, that... It just happens, and it's the round being thrown away. So, it's not really a good indicator of how this next one's going to go, but, I mean, unless... I don't really see Bitterhems doing something like that again.
Yeah, this was rather one of those one-off kind of choices there done by Bitterhems, an attempt to maybe swing in with a little bit of unpredictability there. Maybe they were most definitely, sorry, they were not expecting a wild Jigsaw to be right under that hatch and being able to spray them down. So yeah, a few factors that weren't really included into the thinking process there for BH, but at the very least, now they're changing things around and bringing in a Nook, but it's not a normal Nook. It's a Nook with the shotgun.
Oh, Nook with a shotgun, so gonna be able to pop around the corners and give you a bit of a surprise. But yeah, I mean, it's even being mentioned in the chat about it being a warm-up round. You don't have to worry too much about it if you're Bitterhems. It's yeah, I mean, even the players are having fun with it. So let's call this the unofficial round one here as we jump in. The Nook with the shotgun. We're still getting peaks coming out from both players. I mean, man, I think at this point this is definitely just a battle between friends. As you can tell, they're trying to get at each other, but it's still serious for Skyfire. They still need to clean this one out for sure. But they won't get to do it with a free frag at the start of this round.
Yeah, we'll have to see. Ryan did take a little bit of a damage, which I'm curious where did that come from. It's cool that is actually rather with a run out with the Orc able to claim the frags, but oh, some damage being dealt there. And finally it's Crix to assist Sequence after a few waffled shots there with a suppressed Deagle. That thing is extremely hard to really control, but oh man, so much damage already been dealt to the attack of Bitterhems.
Yeah, they've been slowed down so much, but at least they've got something to fight back with. The alibi now out on the table. It's Sequence too, who's been popping off on this game. Mateus has a super strong position. I don't know if he can... It looks like he can get close enough to use the miniature mirrors on his Vulcan shield here, so he's got a pretty good line of sight to check out what's going on. A pretty good time buffer as well to blow up the Vulcan shield when he does need to fall back. Cameo, though, going on a bit of a move, but is Kubrian going to be able to sneak up on anyone at all? It feels like defenders here are moving around a little bit. Skyfire setting themselves up, and Bitterhems just don't know where they are. Mateus taking out Hamio now, and that's just all up to Ryan and Crix. And Ryan does kill Smacker, so there is still some hope, and there's just over a minute left, Cthulhu.
Exactly, just about a minute remaining, and only 2 remaining attackers left from... I'm always attempting to call him BLF, but it's Skyfire to keep on fragging out. Jigsaw finding the shot onto Crix, and right now it's Mateus trying to finish off the Dutch operator. The shotgun will be just a little bit too hoppy there, and it's Mateus to find the finisher onto Ryan, and well, that is yet another round for Skyfire to win out.
Dude, I think Ryan shot like 3 shots that he didn't need to at the end there. Just maybe panicking a little bit, which is fair enough considering his position. Still gets the kill though, which is kind of nice. But yeah, you really got to pull out something really magical there to get the win. But hey, that's another round now over to Skyfire. Something happened there where they just swung back pretty hard and got some real early kills. It's just pretty amazing how they managed to pull it in again. The plays that were coming out from Bitterhams was, I kind of like the idea, but it was just slow. And because of that, Skyfire got to do their job first and get those 2 kills nice and early. I think no matter what, we're getting something interesting in this round. Okay.
Attackers need to locate and defuse.
Although I don't have to play. Are they saying yes or are they saying no? I don't know if it's a mistake or not.
Oh boy. No boy. It's a double oh boy there, actually. Because Jack is bringing in an Amaru, as well as the fact that Ryan is bringing in the Blitz. This is going to be, I feel, a very quick round to be ended. I'm not rather too sure, though, as to in which side it's going to end, but it seems that Skyfire are pretty well prepared. Bringing in the Ella and the Legion, that should pretty much be sure that Blitz is not going to be having a fun time
5
rushing.
seconds to go.
Or even Amaru, like Jack goes through one window. Yeah, Jack goes through one window and he's suddenly got a goo mine in his leg. He's got he's concussed by the Ella mine, and then he's got a C4 stuck on him because Sequence was waiting. But yeah, it's just gonna be pretty annoying for that and Blitz. Oh, look, he almost got it. Jigsaw was trying to be a little cheeky. You got to be careful near those windows though when there's Amaru. You can just randomly die and be part of a YouTube montage on Reddit the next day.
Swapping mags!
Oh. For now, they're just going to be waiting for the right moment. Cool wants to find that kill through the soft hatch. There are already a few bullet holes there to just maybe give the indication as to when the attempt at the breach is going to be done. But apart from that, Skyfire roster is actually pretty disconnected from each one another, and they just potentially could be going for those solo plays. Sequence from down below, oh man, if he is going to do a run out with the C4, that is going to be a huge one, because you can actually explode the floor on that balcony.
Yeah, and even at the very least, he's got some pretty sick intel on 3 people. Probably relating to this as well, but it's going to be Ryan who actually gets the kill on the Cube Ryan, so it's at the cost of a lot of his health. Sequence, though, he did do it. He did run out and get the C4. Does only get Jack, but that's a high-value kill with how Jack's been playing lately. So, just a trade now for so far. Ryan feeling the burn at the moment, but if he stays safe, he's got a big shield to do that. Maybe he'll be alright.
Yeah, just maybe. A few trades are coming out now, down to a 3 versus 3. Make it 3 versus 2 as Mateus is adding up to the kill count. And oh, Hamio does manage to catch Mateus with his pants down. It's now a Sledge and a Buck against a Jaeger and an Ella. And right now there's a whole lot of pressure coming out on offense. Finally, Smacker is able to pick up that frag, but there's also a White Swing coming out from Sledge. That was able to actually get him down, but Hamio took quite a fair bit of damage and also get him stunned as well. There's the peak, but no, the SMG-11 is the one to win it out, and Bitterhams are going to stop the round bleed early on in its tracks.
Oh, the big brain movement coming out at the end there. That was really smart. He moved to the side of the second he heard the peak about to come out, so that he wouldn't be in the position for pre-fire. I love it. Really good little move there to keep them in the round. But look at this. Cthulhu, we are keeping it tight. It's not just going to be 3 rounds in a row for Skyfire. Bitterham still managing to get one out here. But, I mean, yeah, it's now looking a little better considering how weird that round was in terms of all the operators, how they managed to actually make that one work. I mean, still very, very crazy. So, as Ryan says, all aboard.
Exactly. Choo-choo, all aboard. We are going to be rolling in with the next round. And, yeah, Sequences trying to be a bit more trying to show some courtesy as well. But, yeah, apart from that, yeah, it's just should be an interesting round to say at the very least. Ryan is actually going to stick to the Blitz, which is going to be
he's still spamming choo-choo. So.
Yeah, so choo-choos are still going to be there. But at least from what I saw, it wasn't particularly the most successful, albeit did cause quite a commodity there.
I mean, he was involved in a trade, and I think he even picked up a kill before that, so he did okay. And now they don't have something else weird like Amaru, so he's like the one weird pick on the team at the moment. Then maybe they can make something work, maybe they can make it work around Ryan this time. It's a bit of a weird one to make it work around, but hey, look, you worked last round, so sure. But I'm keen to see, one, how Skyfire, if they're going to change anything about how they dealt with that, or if it is going to be better him just cleaning it up even quicker than before. Oh, but this time it works. This time Jigsaw does have his patience pay off.
And being able to take out Crix, that is a very important frag there as well. And quite a heap of utility as well also gotten rid of. So a solid start here for Skyfire. They need to find another frag onto Ryan to shut down the momentum, that massive swing that Blitz can introduce as well to the push. So it could be absolutely huge. There's a peek out, but Ryan takes up quite a bit of damage, and well, it's Smacker to actually shut him down with a shot to the back. So at the very least, that's Blitz off board, and in a 3v4 situation, things are going to be potentially going a whole lot slower now for Bitter Hams.
Yeah, for Bitter Hams to take the round, it has to be slow. Mateus, he's keeping things quick, and he's just putting his foot down to keep it accelerating. But there's still one alive. It's Jack, still around. Maybe he can find a 1v3 here, but certainly going to be Bitter Hams here just discussing what the next round's going to look like, while Skyfire probably just going to be chilling out on the side, just waiting for Jack to poke his little head around the corner and end the round. Oh, I mean,
okay, Jack.
Wall. Okay.
It was cool. He literally just swung on him, but it was still nonetheless a very nice flick that was done. But there's still just way too many angles to contest, and Jack is the one to go down. So yet another round for SKF, but at the very least, the overall pace has been completely broken down from Skyfire.
Yeah, so Skyfire, I mean, I think they're still having fun with this despite Bitter Hams trying to maybe take the spotlight with things like the Blitz pick, but I think, yeah, Skyfire is still going to be enjoying this one. Like I said, they definitely wanted to get this one done very one-sidedly. To drop the round against the Blitz comp was a little, probably not what they were looking for, but I see a little tick mark next to that Amaru, so I think it's going to be sticking around here. Which means we're still getting these weird things coming out here. The Amaru didn't really do too much last time we saw it. So I'm keen to see if they can make it work this time and, you know, how they approach it to make it work.
Yeah, we'll have to see, because Amaru, if played well, she can change things around really quickly. I mean, especially if you're going for a very quick take over the top floor, she can be that force that will be able to either catch the rotating defenders off guard, or at the very least introduce an element of surprise there now that she got buffed in, and able to swing in pretty quickly with the gun straight out the moment she lands her feet. So a few ways could be used for her, but the way how Skyfire play, I'm not fully sold on the Amaru pick, but if we will be seeing a complete just stomp, just fresh off that momentum that Amaru introduces, I will be on board for that one. Quite easily.
Attackers recovered the bomb diffuser.
Real good little Valcam here. It's going to see exactly what they need to see. Oh, I think maybe they saw the cam and they expected this one, because that is a nice little kill to start things off here. Oh, but it's not finished yet. You thought you were done, but it was 2 peaks, not 1. Mateus will pick that one up. Now it's a 4v4.
So that is actually a trade in favor of the defense, because yeah, while Ku is gone and no more roaming, no more hiding from drones, Crix is gone. No more of the stun grenades, no more of the breaching utility, which is going to, in return, put Bitter Hams at a little bit of a disadvantage, but they still have Ash, they still have Sledge, so it's not as much of a utility disadvantage. It's more so of a gunfight disadvantage, which I don't think at this point Bitter Hams would, well, sorry, not Bitter Hams, at this point Skyfire would really be bothered about.
Still though, they have lost yet another defender, so without Jigsaw, Now is really no shadow to worry about behind Bitter Hems. They can take this one pretty head on. I mean, they did lose a fair chunk of utility, like you said, but
the bomb diffuser.
I think they have all the tools to continue it going, I think. And, you know, the numbers advantage, the head-on strategy, this should be all right for them. They need to start winning these peaks, so of course, at least Ryan doesn't die there at this point, but it's still taking time. Smacker is burning that clock down, and he's even stopping Ryan in his tracks. Oh man, Bitter Hems, they've hit a brick wall.
A bomb has been located.
And the brick wall is still there. Oh, Smacker! Absolutely nuts with that peek. Gets that headshot, and well, now it's an even more of an impossible task here. Jack trying to maybe get a frag, but Smacker right now is just completely unrelenting.
Wow, oh wow. I mean, some of these moments in this game, stealing the glory away from a C4 kill, always a little awkward. But is Jack here to steal the glory away from even that? Because he'll need to get another 2 kills to get it, but he's already got the first one. And still has an okay amount of time to do this. But he cannot mess up. He cannot let any of these bullets slip through. And just look at the angles that they've got here. They should be hearing what's going on too. He basically needed to pre-fire at that point, and Skyfire were already moving on top of him. So they'll pick up another round, and they're edging closer and closer to their match point. The very one-sided theme park that we were kind of predicting and sort of expecting Skyfire to be wanting. They're getting closer to it, Cthulhu.
Yeah, closer and closer indeed, as yet another round for Skyfire closes out, and well, it's the final round of the first half for map number 2 here between SKF and BH, and Bitter Hems definitely need to find that second point. Otherwise, coming out from 5-1 scoreline is certainly going to be quite a challenge and a half there to be done themselves.
And now they're pulling out the Lion Dokkaebi combo, so they really want to go hard on these peaks. They want to be able to just know exactly where people are 3 seconds before they have to turn around the corner. So they'll have all the tools to do that for sure. They'll have to survive some of these runouts for sure. Definitely don't want to lose someone like Lion or Dokkaebi to just a peek out. And you know Skyfire have been toying around with them, actually doing them in half the rounds and succeeding pretty heavily on them. But hey, Bitter Hems have been biting back on them, so they're showing that they're ready, but I guess now they've got to be ready for the double run out. So my question is, Cthulhu, did they do a triple run out here for the round 6?
Could very much happen. I mean, they had a bit of a banter going in between the two of the rosters, so I wouldn't be surprised if we were going to be seeing a few meme rounds to come out from Skyfire with the runouts, or maybe they're just going to stick it to being a little bit more serious and just claim the dub and just kind of enjoy the rest of the evening.
Yeah, no one jumping out this window. No one spotted at all. We're still going to use sequence as well to try and spot the other points of entry, but nothing for him either. So still playing a little bit in the dark here for Skyfire. Still just going to be waiting until they can find out which point of entry is going to be coming in. Sequence will be able to eventually let them know, pass on to his team, but of course this is just one member, so still playing a little in the dark, but this time now Sequence has to fall back after that drone tells everybody, tells all his mates where he was sitting.
Hamio was just about a second late for trying to catch that rotation while it was hot, but barely Sequence was able to run away with full HP. Hamio for now, yep, just gonna be waiting for Namni to really give a call there as to what could be the next move, as the IQ scanner is being now thoroughly used. Maybe Namni could potentially find the frag here onto the pulse through the floor. Who knows? At this point, it's just everything could happen. Another line charge will be coming out to bring out on maybe potentially on one of the players, but instead it's Kubrian who will be finding the shot onto Ryan, and that is already both Dokkaebi and the Lion gone. Sequence is just going off the hooks with a double kill here, and now it's all down to Hamio once again.
Yeah, I feel like we've been in this position before. He'll pick up one, maybe 1 or 2 extras, but to succeed at this round, not looking likely. So, yeah, losing Ryan and then, Crix soon very much after, sort of sucked there for Bitterhems. They had a plan there. They started activating to go for the peaks. Clearly, the results we saw didn't really go their way here. And we're just going to clean up Hamio here to get the half done. Skyfire finally picking up all of those rounds. They're a really strong half showing from them. I really think I think they're going to feel pretty rough about dropping that one round, but even then, they can still walk away pretty happy from this, and knowing as well that they've got so many comfort rounds here. They're very close to just locking in the week, getting it done, getting Bitterhems out of here. Bitterhems, though, they want to get that spoiler draw result. They're going to have to start this uphill battle pretty much now.
Yeah, they need to make that comeback very swift and very quick, because only with 2 rounds away from their ultimate loss there, things are definitely going to be ramping up in the stress department for Bitterhems. For Skyfire, though, they're feeling pretty comfortable. I mean, 1-5 scoreline after the first half, that's already an even better showcase than they had on Oregon, so for what it's worth, this is probably one of their better performed maps so far.
Why does Sledge have a gas mask?
I think that's at least from his trailer. That could be just to protect him from all the asbestos that could be flying out from the wall.
Because that's what I was thinking. Is it really just the asbestos? But it just looks really hardcore for the guy that is basically just a construction worker coming into your house. But I guess he's a little more than that.
You'll be surprised. Yeah, he's definitely much more than that. And plus, I mean, this general nastiness could be around. I mean, COVID is still a thing worldwide, so he's trying to protect himself as well, and his teammates.
He's been wearing the mask for 5 years, man.
He's careful about everything. You never know.
Yeah, I suppose other countries have
things could go south
wearing
real
masks
quick.
long before the shenanigans of 2020 started rolling around. Speaking of shenanigans, though, Crix might be making meeting sequence here, and another shenanigan also happened as Jack found Q. So now we've got no more IQ, falling down, not even entering the building. That's going to be kind of annoying. They really would have liked all that information to have, but hey, at least they did get something back. Oh no, whoa, things are happening. I was going to say sequence on low health, but they started to get a few kills back. No more Doc, no more Jack. But it's still a 3v3, and it's just as I say that, Mateus finds Namni, Kriz is falling down too, and this is all falling apart. Ultimately, very quickly, Hamio, okay, I thought he was going to get it when he got the window, but no, he had no health, he was shot down, and just like that, we now move to match point.
Sure are. 6-1 scoreline. Bitterhems are on the back foot, and after we were hyping them up a little bit at the beginning of the matchup, they seem to have fallen just short of finding any kind of success here against Skyfire and potentially preventing them from advancing.
Yeah, I was going to say, let's get real though, because, it was always going to be a very hard match for Bitterhems. They're in such a very difficult position to actually get some of these wins, because hard matches later on in the season, not to mention their restructure. So huge amount of respect for them to be able to pull out the results that they have, particularly on Oregon as well. Back then, that 3-round streak was really good. So, this being a more expected result here, so not being too surprising, shouldn't be any shame on them. Should certainly be a big respect over to Skyfire to get their act together here and solidly win the theme park, or at least it feels like, unless Bitterhems start to get the biggest streak we've seen all season. Skyfire should be looking to clean this one up, and the real test does begin next week for them, but it'll feel good for them to just get this last round done, clean it up. A 7-1 would feel great. I think that's the scoreline that they're looking for. But to drop any more rounds here, unless they're memeing or doing anything risky, I feel like there's no excuse for it.
Talking about memeing, have you seen Skyfire's attacking lineup? There's a Nook, there's a Yana, there's a Lion, a BB, and an Ash. So minimal amount of conventional utility, and the maximum amount of just support for fragging and fragging power itself.
Defender has left.
Yeah, they want to turn Super Saiyan Smacker here. make him just get those crazy frag sequence as well. And, you know, to be fair, those are the guys you want to be fragging super hard. No peek out for Ryan just yet. He would have really loved to get it. Maybe he would have liked to have done it maybe a little earlier. Oh, he was waiting, but it was a trick, an illusion. What is he hiding? He does not know at the moment, so he has to fall back just a little bit, but now they should have a pretty good idea. Hey, guys, something's a little weird about this round. Oh, hey, little buddy. This is a drone that's just constantly revealing him, but he has not fallen back. Ryan is no coward. He's a man's man. He will stand his ground. He'll actually run back now, but and he will be punished for it as well. So as soon as he stopped being a man's man, he did die. But Sequence is also traded back, so it's not just a complete trade. But Bitterham's now finding the kills. You're losing your Nook, your BB. You still got Smacker, so he is definitely going to be the one to look out for here to save this round here for Skyfire.
Yeah, for Skyfire, they're losing their men very quickly, very swiftly. Kubrian and Mateus are the last men standing. Mateus so far is the highest fragging one, and well, Ku might be adding things up a little bit more. Should be able to make a little bit of a return, but in a 3v2 situation, they just might be able to deconstruct their push unless Bitterhams will just keep playing a very passive game. So for now, it's just a bit of some waiting, some game of bait maybe here between the players, because we'd just seen, I believe it was either Hamio or Jack who were trying to just bait out with the laser sight. But yeah, apart from that, there's not much to be done yet.
Yeah, you're really just looking for the better peaks here. You really just need to win these fights. Oh, he's looking for the most pixel of angles, but in that time, they just walk in and peek him because you don't need patience for that one. Mateus, he's going to be looking for the miracle play here, but of course he knows his chances, and he knows that we're likely going to be going to another round. Bitterhams stay alive for another round here against Skyfire's meme squad, so despite what I was saying, it looks like Skyfire are okay with throwing around away, or at least making it a little more risky, a little more fun. Question is, are they going to do it again for a few more rounds? Are we going to maybe see them switch back on to what we normally see? Or are we going to see all the crazy operators again?
Possibly. I mean, at the very least, we're going to know that it is going to be an initiation push. And looking at the overall lineup, it's definitely a much more conventional now for Skyfire, bringing in some hard breach, some soft breach there, just to kind of level out some of their fragging potential. And interestingly enough, it's Mateus that will be swapping over from a Thermite to a Maverick, so we'll be able to bring in some of the frag grenades and won't really have to really bother about any breach denial. Because, well, first of all, there's not going to be any there, and second of all, well, he's got a blowtorch.
Yeah, what are you going to do? EMP a blowtorch? Of course, that's not really, Thatcher being on attack.
Are you going to electrify a torch? Or are you going to ADS the torch? None of that is going to happen. So, free real estate.
Exactly. Now the magnet should pull it, like just pull the whole thing, because it would be, I imagine the blowtorch would be quite metallic if it's not electrical in some way. So I don't know, unless it's like made out of like full-on plastics or something, but I feel like that's not the way you'd want to make a blowtorch. That would be
5 seconds left.
probably kind of poisonous. Poisonous is the right word for it?
Yeah, I mean, it's hazardous as well. Yeah, it's going to be also quite hazardous to burn your hands as well. I mean, the whole thing is going to melt in your hands.
It's a disaster. Don't make a blowtorch out of plastic.
Either way, for now it's going to be a potentially final round here for Bitterhams, though, which could also be melting away all of their chances at getting any points or maybe any slight chance of getting out of the relegation. So for now, yeah, it's just they're going to be playing pretty steadily. Interestingly enough, Ryan is not on a roam, even whilst being on an Oryx. And Skyfire already made the entrance through the hatch.
Oh, okay. Well, that entrance, though, has been compromised just a bit as Kubrian forced away. And now we're even getting some runouts. This is going to be a little stressful coming in for the attackers. Skyfire got to be wondering what's going on, but hey, now it's over. Now you can stop panicking, I'm sure. But so far, the only consequence has been Kubrian losing a little bit of health. I'm sure he's going to be wanting to sneak up on someone if he can find them, but for now, it's just going to be as well. Yeah, Ryan, now he's starting to sneak around here. Now he's starting to roam a little bit. What's he going to find?
There we go. We finally see some movement around by the Oryx player, finally utilizing his ability to move around, but it's Jigsaw, Mateus, and Ku who will be picking up the kills respectively, and this is just all falling apart. Sequence onto Jigsaw as well, so some bit of orange on orange, blue on blue kind of fire. Some as well flanks coming out. Ryan going huge here actually, and now it's a 1v2 situation which could very much be turned around into another round for Bitter Hams, but Ku and Mateus are still very well, feeling very well in health. And well, the crossfire is going to be there, and it's Mateus to close it out with a GG well played and a 2-0 Skyfire.
Yeah, that one was looking like it was going to be a bit fun. Maybe Oryx with his ability was going to be able to get a really crazy 1v4 flank, but at the end of the day, the round was set up by Skyfire. They take the round, they take the map, and they take the 2-0. Just one more week against Exto to close out their round robin, but they've set themselves up as best they can for it, and now the rest is just going to be up for next week. For Bitter Hems, though, of course, this means the end of their journey. At least, you know, of course, they'll show up for next week, but I believe this locks them into relegation, into the bottom two. No chance of overtaking Bance now. So, unfortunately for them, they're going to be fighting for their relegation lives. But, of course, Skyfire have, like I said, set themselves up beautifully, and we've got their captain Smacker here on the line.
Yo.
Smacker, mate. First things first, let's get it out of the way. 2-0. How are the boys feeling?
We're feeling pretty good. Honestly, we were pretty confident going to 2-0 them. Skyfire on top, so we're always going to win that one.
Were you guys ever, like, I know you say you were always going to win this one, but were there ever any questions since the restructure, or did you think that just made them a weaker opponent?
A little bit easier, I reckon, when we've seen the new roster. A bit easier.
Any kind of thoughts when they started taking a few of the rounds back when they were matching up against PC419? Because those were a fair few of the very convincing rounds for Bitter Hams. I mean, did that maybe throw any of the signs?
Nah, the only reason they were taking rounds on PC419 is because they were playing very ranked star. So PC419 just got shut down by it. So we weren't really scared because we can play a bit more ranked star, you know?
I mean, fair enough.
Yeah.
Any kind of further thoughts for the upcoming match for the next week? Because you guys already managed to, at the very least, solidify yourselves in the top 4. I believe your next opponent is Exto, if my memory serves me right.
Yeah.
So, any kind of thoughts about them?
Honestly, look, at the beginning of the season, I thought that'd be easy, but they're playing pretty good, so I'm pretty scared, to be honest. Like, they're winning maps on good teams, so honestly, it'll be a good game.
Okay.
And then I guess before we jump out of this one, were you guys worried when things like the Amaru and the Blitz started popping up? Were you ever scared, or were you ready to handle the memes?
Pretty sure they knew they lost, so they just gave up. We weren't really scared.
Fair enough.
That's a fair enough way of putting it. It's certainly going to be how some people look at it. But look, congratulations on the 2-0, and best of luck as you move into week number 7 of the round robin.
Cheers, boys. Have a good one.
All right, so there we have it. Smacker, pretty stoked after his 2-0. It definitely feels a little bit like business as usual, where they did just want to come in and get the 2-0. I don't think there was anything too crazy about tonight's match. But, of course, shout out to Bitter Hams. Respect to them for bringing it, still getting a few rounds, getting a streak going as well. But tonight, it was all about Skyfire. But, of course, we've got another match coming up, and this is going to be an important one. It may essentially decide who's going to be slipping out of the top 4 and out of playoffs. Coming up next, it's Bizarre versus PC419. And welcome back to LPL Pro. It's Rainbow Six Siege night, and we've got one more match to go. Bizarre versus PC419. This one, is going to be the one that cracks that three-way tie around the top four. We've only got a few spaces. One of these teams has got to go. And this one could be the one that decides who it is. My name is Smite. This is Cthulhu. And now for this match, mate, we got to start talking about it. Bizarre versus PC419. Because, this is a tight one. It could easily go either way. And it just means so much for either team. It could mean a lot for a draw as well. I mean, every result could be crazy here, Cthulhu.
Yes, every result could be absolutely crazy, and we'll be deciding the potential seeding for the playoffs. But both those teams so far were able to perform some really cool performances as well. So let's take a look first at the lineup of PC419.
Yeah, and again, this is another roster that we recognize. There's a few new faces around: Tesla, Punisher, Sage, Noob, and Vlad. These guys are a solid roster. I mean, the team name as well. It's a strong organization, been around for a long time. This is a team to be reckoned with, but of course, their opponents, Bizarre Gaming, are a very similar story. A familiar roster, a team that's been around for a while, and players that can frag like hell. Ghoul, AFX, Twent, Yui, and President. Another solid roster, and this one's been sticking around pretty much the exact same for the whole time. So these guys, same story, just super strong coming out, and they're both, pretty much exactly tied. There's a point between them on the leaderboard, with Bizarre just edging out slightly.
Yeah, Bizarre has been showing a really good performance throughout the whole season too, but tonight I do believe that they are going to be playing with a little bit of a sub that is Yui, so could be slightly hindered, but Yui has had a really good performance previously as well, so maybe not as much of a hindrance here.
Yeah, so I wonder if that's going to be some kind of factor to come into it, because we'll be jumping into Coastline and then Oregon. Again, two really familiar maps, I feel. We haven't seen Coastline for a little while, but it's definitely a map that teams have done a whole lot. Same thing with Oregon since this season, since the rework, of course. Teams have warmed up to it, but I think everyone is very comfortable on that map now.
Yeah, Oregon all of a sudden seen a massive spike in popularity, probably just due to the fact that everyone has finally gotten sick of playing Villa. Oregon feels kind of nice and fresh and still very complex about how you want to execute it. And well, Coastline is just one of those places to just chill, enjoy, and frag out and have just a jolly good time at playing Siege.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's a great one, but this is where fun kind of has to go a little out the window, Cthulhu, because both sides are now fighting for their lives. It's a little more for PC419 to work on this one, because a draw would probably favor Bizarre a whole lot more, just because they've got that 1 point lead. But I kind of said this in the last match, because it affects Skyfire too, but Bizarre and PC419 both have a quote-unquote easy match next week, where they're both playing Bitterhems and Shadownet respectively. So this is kind of their rough match, because they're sort of expected to get the 2-0 next week. Yeah, of course, there's worlds where that doesn't happen, but if you're the team that loses tonight, you can't rely on it. So for Bizarre, I think they can get away with just getting a draw tonight. It would get them into the playoffs by a single point, but I think they can get away with it. However, for PC419, they need to just get the 2-0. Getting a draw here means you're sitting in week 7 watching and waiting for Bizarre to lose their last match. You don't want to be in that position. You want to get the 2-0 to lock it in now.
Yeah, I mean, ANZ region in general has seen a fair few of those moments when one of the teams is left out, pretty much ultimately should not be seeing themselves in the finals, but all of a sudden there's a grand upset coming through. So there is still a potential for that, but quite highly unlikely. For now, yeah, Bizarre and PC419 will be looking at getting as many points as possible, just to make sure that they're solidly and well in place on that top floor bracket. And yeah, that should be pretty much of a bloodbath on both of those matches, to be honest.
And I think if you throw it all the way back to the last season, PC419 had not the greatest start, and we had a lot of hype for them. Same thing here, where we had a lot of hype for them. They dropped a few matches, getting a draw where it could have been a 2-0, and so they've fallen down the leaderboard a little bit. So I think this means a lot to them. To come in here, to drop out of playoffs would be devastating. They want to come in here and crush it. They're a team that, you know, we say should be aiming for first place and second place respectively, right? But they've fallen short the last few seasons. This is their opportunity to come in and get a little bit of redemption. But for Bizarre, it's still similar. They did a little better in the last season, but of course, it's the same sort of deal where they don't want to fall out of playoffs. They're just a little lucky, of course. Well, not lucky, of course, because they earned it, but they're happy that they've got that 1 point lead. It actually makes all the difference here at the tail end of the round robin.
Yeah, all of those points are definitely going to be very important. Each one of the rounds, actually, matter of fact, the moment it's going to start getting closer to maybe some of the drawn out rounds and maps, this is where the round differential is going to start coming in. So in the long run, each and every round lost will be a crucial point for both of these teams to really talk about. So with the fact that how close, just in general, the whole bracket so far was, especially closer to the top, it is going to be a very tight matchup for the moment we're going to be seeing playoffs kick off.
Yeah, I mean, there's still, again, I keep bringing it up, there's these scenarios that can happen next week where it's all still technically possible, but you're looking at things like you need a ShadowNet 2-0 against, who are they playing? ShadowNet are playing, they're playing PC419, so like, that's not unreasonable to expect, the potential for it to happen, but, you know, anyone predicting anything less than just a 2-0 for PC419, you'd call them a bit of a gambler, a bit of a risky caller there. But so again, it just all loops back to this is the important match. This is the one that actually matters. And you just don't want to end up in a draw situation because, like you said, then round differential comes into it. I think, again, you need one of those weird results like a ShadowNet draw or, you know, a bit of Hems draw or something like that to get an actual draw around a playoffs level with the points. There's a lot of maths that I'm doing in my head right now, adding ones and threes, but I'm pretty sure I've got it all down right, and it does really just come down to this one. So we are just getting the players ready for you guys, making sure they're ready for the match because, of course, like we're hyping up how important it is, right? So we want it to be completely ready for both sides of the teams.
Yeah, both sides need to be ready, all prepped, all warmed up as well. Maybe a few tech issues there, so we're just getting them solved up as quickly as possible. But yeah, I mean, it just adds up more hype as well to the whole matchup in general. I mean, to talk about the maps as well, Coastline and Oregon, with Coastline being picked by Bizarre, I genuinely think that Bizarre gonna be having a slight bit of an advantage. But seeing how before PC419 were able to really bring in the heat, were able to play in a very consistent or at the very least well-organized manner on a fair few rounds, they're definitely going to be bringing in the challenge here as well, so Bizarre. And it's all just going to come down to some of the frags, how many angles and how many points can each one of the team pick up on each one of the halves. And this one is probably, out of all of the matchups that both of these teams so far had, this one is going to be the most important one so far.
And I think it's something we kind of predicted all the way back at the start of the season, is that these two teams would definitely clash a whole lot. And yeah, there's other teams that are contending for the top, but I feel like these two just seem to find themselves, whether it's in the bracket or just the positions in the leaderboards, it's almost like just a sort of a little bit of rivalry just by happenstance has come out of this. But here it is, the final, well, maybe not final, but the penultimate battle here, PC419 versus Bizarre, all brought to you thanks to Vodafone. Let's kick things off here, Cthulhu. Let's get into some bans and watch how this one unfolds here, because it is going to be right down to every single round, like you said.
Yeah, seeing already a Jackal to be banned out is a very interesting one. Obviously, Jackal on this map can swing things around very, very swiftly here. Same goes for Hibana, no more of the remote breaching, so both of the hard breaches remaining, that is Thermite and Maverick, will have to be very up close to the wall. So a few extra hazards could be created around that. On the side of defense, I wouldn't be expecting anything too out of norm. Maestro and then probably Amiro will follow suit here. So, yeah. Probably the most interesting one here is going to be the fact that now Echo is allowed into the comp. So him being allowed is going to be huge. But what is also going to be huge is the mirror that managed to actually slip through the ban phase.
Yeah, kind of interesting that Valkyrie does end up being the operator banned out. It is a popular pick, and there's a lot of good little cam spots that you can get for runouts here on Coastline. So I guess they just don't want to deal with that, but like you said, it does mean Mirror's now on the table. Echo is also gonna be free to pick for anyone here now that he's been, allowed for anyone as well, making it through the bans too. So he will be here for the first round. President's gonna be picking him up. So they've got a lot to work with here, but isn't he actually gonna be locked in? Man, just once, I just want them to 6-pick someone I'm not talking about. Yeah, Sledge.
Yeah.
Wasn't talking about him. Didn't bring him up Capital at all.
Attackers
And
locate
that's how you do a 6-pick. You don't jumate the caster.
Well, they sure just did, which is quite a unfortunate thing sometimes to witness, but well.
Never happens to you.
I've seen a fair few debates in my time, so I'm just at this point, I'm settled down with the pain.
Yeah, I think it's just one of those, you remember it way more when it happens to you, but not to anyone else. It's always weird how the human brain works like that, but oh well. I guess it'll just never happen again for sure. Round one here. Like we said, nothing too crazy does come out. It's not like a mirror or anything that did slip through, did end up getting picked, so we still have the kind of usual setup with the odd little spattering of fun little operators. I always like Vigil. It's a good opportunity for a player to kind of show off how good they are at movements around the map on their own and how well they can take advantage of it and just using the ability to. So let's see what Yui can pull out here. Of course, one of the different members here for Bazaar tonight, the usual lineup. So let's see what he can pull out here on Vigil.
Located by attackers.
Yeah. His Vigil play could be quite a crucial one. Meanwhile, PC419 are just going to be waiting, playing a little bit of a patient game. They know that there's potentially somebody in the main hallway at the reception. And while that Guman being planted down has pretty much revealed that very thing, but they still don't know the exact position of the Legion of Goom. And so here it could be just the beginning of a manhunt here by PC419.
They're dedicating a decent amount of time to it, but it's just Tesla who's dealing with it at the moment. But Ghoul's already out of there. He's booked it. Oh, no! He gets gunned down on the run by Vlad. And so this is pretty great for PC419. No more Legion to deal with. Ghoul is another scary player too, so it's always good to get rid of him. But the job's not done yet. We've got half the round to win this 5v4.
Yeah, still plenty of time for PC419 to make the pushes. There is already a few peaks and swings are going to be there, and already quite a fair bit of the utility has been utilized by Vlad. Only single breaching round is remaining by Sajan as well, as he's trying to line up that flashbang. And the second one actually does connect. AFX is blind, but not for too long, and a frag grenade by Tesla will be shutting him down. Nicely done there by Tesla, and so far this is all seeming to be all falling apart. Sajan is the one that swings in, gets the frag. Tesla on the double, and now all down to Yui, the person that we were just about to make a highlight of, but even he's failing to get the frags, and this is going to be a near flawless round, with Sajan picking up the final one.
Yeah, certainly a little awkward there, getting caught out on the run after some of the early roams. Also, Yui not really finding anything on his roam either, and then just a quick, efficient swing, all executed at the same time by PC419. So very clean little win on the round there. I really liked it. It kind of shows that we can expect more of it coming out in the further rounds. So very, very good little showing here to open things up for PC419. Of course, Bazaar are ready to come back into this one. Ghoul didn't really get too much of a chance to show off in that round, so maybe if he can survive a little earlier on, not getting caught out, not getting shoved out of his position so early, means maybe it could look like a very different round for Bazaar.
Yeah, we'll have to see how the rest of the matchup really unravel, because sometimes we can talk about the first round jitters. Sometimes it's just one team that is just setting the general pace in their favor here. For now, PC419 were able to establish a very nice early dominance over the general roam game that Bazaar were trying to pull off, and that certainly did put a dent into the remainder of the round that Bazaar were trying to make a recovery from. But yeah, now we're starting to get into the meat of it, trying to get the plays, the pushes coming. Same setup for the hooker is also going to be coming out, and just about the similar, slightly different, I believe, lineup there for a couple players of Bazaar to be picked.
Same general idea though. Good heavy roaming presence with certain players being able to swap in and out for a lot of those positions. Plenty of traps to be laying down, and then you've even got the added addition of just being able to run down the clock with smoke. Twent has had a lot of success on smoke, so very comfortable on that operator. Shouldn't be too worried about this lineup for Bazaar. But just remember that the difference here is that Ghoul should be able to keep his position, I think. And that should be how Bazaar are looking to come back into this one with the 5-man push. But then you've also got to be scared of when PC419 do choose to execute, because it was very scary last time and very efficient and very quick. And not a lot of missing, I think, was the main thing that kept him in through it.
Yeah, not a whole lot of missing at all. PC419 were able to really nail down all the patterns that Bazaar were trying to bring out. A duo stack actually had the security room. Vlad is knowledgeable that there might be somebody there. The spidey senses were tingling, but instead it's the life bar that will be tingling down for AFX as he goes down to the hands of Sajin. And this is a fantastic opening once again, as that is the C4 off the board as well.
Yeah, and you could also see Vlad. Oh, wait. President's now off the board through the window. This is dire now for Bazaar. And now I've just lost my train of thought. But yeah, Vlad, he just kind of had to book it out of there. It looked like Bazaar had some big ideas on how to push him out of there, but things are falling apart very quickly, and you just cannot do a lot when you have hardly any players left. So we're looking for the crazy players from Twent and Ghoul, and there's certainly the players that can pull it out, but I mean, just look at all the positions around for PC419, but maybe it doesn't matter. Maybe it doesn't matter at all. Twent has already found 2 kills, and it's now down to 2v2. PC419 have to get the plant down, and they've got 50 seconds, so it's maybe possible. Smoke's now coming out. It's only a little bit of damage and a little bit of time.
That was a very naughty peek that Twent was able to pull off there with that quick cheeky double as well without needing to reload. He kept the perfect momentum there for his peaks. A mute jammer is actually going to deny the drone, so no general knowledge as to where the position of the SAS member, and the actually full push is actually going to be coming out. Could be potentially paying off. Twent is down, but Ghoul will be able to find the shot, but it's Noob and Pun to finalize the round, and well, there it is. PC419, but just by the skin of their teeth, are able to find the round number 2.
And of course, it's Bazaar and Twent, like usual, trying to give hope for their fans that they were going to swing that round back in their favor. But let's not forget that PC419 set themselves up for a really good advantage from the get-go. So even though it was maybe looking at coming back the way of Bazaar, PC419 set themselves up nice and early on. So still deserving most of these rounds so far, still looking like they're not sort of just being one of a few small mistakes from Bazaar at the moment. It does feel like PC419 are just at the level that's slightly higher, catching them off guard. Even if Twent and you know, occasionally other players are going to be able to swing back like that, if they win the starts of the rounds hard enough like that, then PC419 don't have to worry.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked on various occasions whenever we would be even having an interview with some of the teams that sometimes just the teams show up on the day and sometimes they don't. It seems for now Bizarre are having a little bit of a lackluster performance, just having some very unfortunate timing on some of the rotations. Just can't seem to maybe pick up a few frags here and there. And that in correlation with the fact that PC419 are feeling very much in their own element and are able to really pull off some of the kind of on-the-go pushes like we're just seeing at the conclusion of the previous round. Pretty much just brings us to the fact that right now is just the momentum is being swung harder in favor of PC419 rather than Bizarre.
It's only 2 rounds though, so
True.
we may still yet to see any kind of changes at the moment. We see it between maps as well. Remember, this could be a draw, and that could still be considered a win for Bizarre, but 2 rounds in, so not the whole story just yet on Coastline. It's been a bit of an interesting one, but PC419, they feel comfortable in their lead at the moment, but it usually starts to swing back around round 3 if a team is going to be bringing it back in. Oh, look at that beautiful little leg. Both of them coming in. President showing them off to Pun's drone. And I'm not even sure if he knows that he got spotted.
Recovered the bomb diffuser.
LED scanning.
Yeah, he's gonna be waiting for the push to actually come through. Yui very patient, well, maybe just not enough patient, but oh, Noob is very unaware of potential swing onto him. There's 2 players in the lobby that could potentially help each other to get rid of the Nomad, but Noob right now with the AK peeking out does find the shot, and Yui a little bit of a miscalculation there could potentially also result in the loss of Ghoul, but Ghoul will be actually nailing his shots there even after losing a little bit of health and promptly falling back.
Man, poor Yui, he was looking at that door for like 200 years, and then the second he looks away, I mean, classic Rainbow, right? It always happens, you look away, and that's when they come through. But luckily for him, it was a trade, so not the end of the world. But like you said, a little bit of damage going over onto both sides, so there is a little danger for Ghoul, who's been tagged up just a little bit, but all things considered, it's just looking like a 4v4 here. The thing is, PC419 is starting to run out of time, but they seem to have set up pretty much everything else. They've got most of their breaches done, but they probably want a little bit of progress on the stairs if they can get it.
Attackers
They are dangerously close here now to the site. They could start making things happen, but they may have needed Noob for it.
Yeah, Noob could have been a huge addition there as well with his air jabs as well as the flashbangs. Could have been absolutely huge, but oh, Tesla right now just missed out on that timing really, and oh, that's the teammate already taking quite some damage. Tesla trying to get some work, but it's Sagen instead. Tesla now going down. Pun as well now down. Sagen is the last man standing in a 1v2 situation, but the best thing was for him was that the diffuser was planted, but in a nil versus 2, there's nothing that can be done for PC419, and Bizarre finally breaking the 2-round streak here against PC.
Dude, look at AFX break it down right on the diffuser. Well, you even get an action replay of it. Look at how good it is.
Yeah.
That is some solid breakdancing there.
Yeah,
I love it. I'm all about players that show up to the camera, so I'm always happy to see that. But it is Bizarre bringing one back, so at least we're not going to see a complete whitewash here by PC419. At least not yet. Bizarre is still showing they can bring some of these rounds back.
Hey, like you said, it's still a very much of a beginning of the matchup rather than the anywhere close to the end. So there's still anything that could happen. Interestingly enough, Pun actually swapping over to Capitao, which we did see him actually on a fair frequent basis before. So maybe here we could be seeing some repetition of that. But apart from that, I believe Bizarre brought on Ella once again as a 6th pick. So here for the push onto Hookah could work out, actually.
Yeah, a lot of traps going to be able to be thrown around the place here, of course. I mean, you've always got the Jaeger or my combos, so the projectiles just don't get to live at all, but you got to worry about things like little Ella mines here, of course. You can always use them as like little semi-grenades as well, where you can just chuck them out, save them for later. You don't need to throw them all out at once. So AFX going to be able to play Ella quite versatile, the way he wants to. I'm kind of interested to see if he's going to be able to catch anyone off guard from it. Powerful gun too, so Ella definitely pretty scary in the right hands. A lot of operators are, but Ella is definitely one to watch out for when played well. But besides, certainly want to bring this one back. They don't really want to let PC419 just continue the lead, but I feel like that one that they won. Yeah, this is their map pick on Coastline.
So they wouldn't want to lose out on that progress as well. So they would want to keep their own turf as clean as possible and maybe get a few points there for themselves rather than let, like you said, let PC419 run away with it. But for PC419, that would be a great flex as well.
Yeah, I'd be real stoked to kick this one off with a few more rounds under your belt, especially after that round kind of being dropped there a little bit. But now we're making the entry here. PC419 still kind of all over the place, so we may get a duel here and there, particularly if they can spot out any of these roamers. Tesla, he's had some pretty sick frags so far, but he's really going to be looking for those frags to the floor. Those are always the most fun ones, the most feel-good ones, and the ones that really set up your team for just an easy round. Oh, beautiful timing on the feet there. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Oh. Still full control of the officers, so PC419 could potentially need to get rid of some of the presence from down below, because otherwise this could be an absolutely huge issue to deal with. Quite a fair bit of utility also being dumpstered there thanks to the magnets of Wumai, and well, now finally the presence of the in the officers has been finally let off, and well, it's Tesla once again with a great coconut throw. Will be getting the frag, but oh, there's also some response. Twent actually with a double fantastic performance, and oh, Vlad meanwhile is also there to bring in the heat, the pain train. 2 versus 2, a glorified one that is, as there's some pre-fires from below, but oh, right now AFX is going to be in a world of pain.
But they got the plant down, and so now we can just see PC419 back off and wait for Bazaar to walk into the trap. AFX and Yui already taking shots, and as they turn the corner, it's just a synchronized fall as Noob and Vlad pick him up and send one over to PC419 again.
That is actually really well coordinated push here. Vlad so far has been able to take such aggressive and up close angles. It is actually amazing that Bazaar are in no shape punishing him for doing that, because in any even higher echelon kind of games, this would not have been allowed in any shape or form, but he's able to sneak in there just like that so easily. It's actually quite amusing.
It's just a real sign of his courage. Just complete full-on hero at the moment, standing up nice and close, knows it's risky is the thing though, like you said, and it's not being punished at the moment. Maybe it will later on, but for now you can imagine he's definitely going to continue to keep trying to get away with it. Bazaar letting a few of these rounds slip away at the moment. You can see that they've got the moments where they're coming back. Most of the time it's Twent just randomly picking up a double kill in the middle of a pretty crazy firefight, so you know that that's still there, but it's really just coming from him. Ghoul, when he's not being frag grenaded, he has his times too, but you can't rely on just those two guys, and it still feels like it's mostly being relied on Twent anyway.
10 seconds to go.
Yeah, Twent was probably the one who was able to actually bring in some of the comeback potential. Ghoul was there to kind of assist here and there, but yeah, the moment Bazaar's roster after 4 rounds rather, are looking definitely not in their element here. They were able to muster themselves to get 1 win on Blue Bar, but apart from that, that is just about all that they were able to get themselves.
On the flip side though, PC419, everyone across the board's having a good day. Pun could be picking up a few more frags, but other than that, his team is winning rounds, so he's kind of okay with it. The entry here onto round number 5 is just going to be a few shots through each of the windows as per usual. But for now, it's still just going to be droning out, catching out what they can see. I'm not sure if Sage caught Yui around the corner or, you know, vice versa. But that little bit of information will be quite nice. If he can see a head through the hole in the wall, I think he maybe did, but he's getting some good little vision, good little intel with all that little drone parkour coming out there.
Yeah, whilst he's getting some more vision through there, it's Vlad that is going to be starting to apply some more pressure from the opposite side. Sajin to once again open up the scoreline and Yui to be down. That is not what you want to see if you're a Bizarre fan. Because right now, PC419 are able to deconstruct them and pick them all apart in just a matter of just a few moments. Twent maybe trying to get a retake here, but a lone man with a SMG-11 will be limited on his ammo count, as well as that on any of the possibilities, as he just lost his element of surprise there.
Yeah, Bizarre just do not look like they're in the position to hold PC419 back, because at the moment PC419 are just setting it up even more to make it even easier. I think this gives Bizarre the time to go and set up what kind of defense that they can get at the moment with only 3 people. So they're really praying for a good defense here, but PC419 did have the time to go and set this up, so they're choosing to take the safer path here and not kind of risk anything here at the moment. Some of these peaks are coming out kind of alone, just to get the cameras. It is just dotting your I's, and crossing your T's, and picking up an AFX along the way for PC419. They're not doing anything risky, nothing crazy. The plant's now finally going to come down. Or is it? Yeah, it will. The punch should be able to lock this one down, but oh, maybe President and Twin are challenging it. The plant didn't even finish. So maybe Bizarre are going to find a way back in. Twins! They're still getting more kills. Finally, the god goes down, but now it's up to President. A 1v2, totally doable. 10 seconds is all he's got to buy, but he can't buy it. He's flat broke. And PC419, they're running away with this one, Cthulhu.
They sure are. The moment there was any chance, any possibility that Bizarre could maybe clutch it out off the back of Twent, it seems just PC419 are just one step ahead here, and it's heartbreaking to see them crumble under so much pressure here, just because they were able to get themselves so close here to getting themselves to that top 4, and now this being their most important one, it will be heartbreaking for them to lose out any chances of getting into playoffs here.
On the flip side, though, PC419 must be feeling electrified. They are shutting down Bizarre at pretty much all the right times, all the right angles. I mean, last round they had no roaming to deal with and a 2-man advantage about a minute in. So things are looking great. They're obviously coming in with a plan, executing on it, and it's going smoothly. So for PC419, yeah, Bizarre might not be feeling too great, but PC419, because this is in the match that matters, it must feel great to have everything going so well. It's the final round here of this half, so maybe things change when we swap the sides. That's really going to be the best chance that we know, but it still feels like PC419 are just, like, it's definitely not one-sided, even though the round wins might show that, but it definitely feels like PC419 are just enough ahead away for me to consistently call them on each round.
Yeah, PC419 were able to find some of those real nice early peaks. It's a whole huge thanks to Sajin as well for being able to actually find those openings, which has been attributing to a fair bit of the success for them. But curious how will the remainder of the round actually go here, because, well, rather the map. Because if PC419 can transfer their momentum while being on defense, this is going to be a pretty quick map.
Yeah, that's the other thing. To get it done so swiftly would be pretty scary for anyone looking to move into the playoffs here. That's another great thing, but no one going down there. Yui takes a big chunk and he even just books it with his life. Vlad just kind of standing there in disbelief while he keeps the line held, but yeah, gonna feel bad to not grab that one, but Yui stoked to get out of there with his life. To lose him like that it would feel like a repeat of round 5.
Yeah, well, goal to kick things off rather here, finally. It is Bizarre that is drawing the first blood, finding the shot onto Vlad. Vlad was pretty crucial to getting a few of those flanks and some late frags as well. But Nuke to respond onto Yui, that is one of the other roamers now gone. And yeah, Bizarre might be looking at a little bit of a scary idea, scary thought, but they're still able to apply plenty of pressure. It's Sajin to take quite some damage in the billiards room, and well, at the moment they just trying to just find some vertical angles, maybe to take control of the cool vibes, because right now that mute of AFX is just sitting pretty there and just not really caring much about being pressured.
Yeah, there's just a lot of strong positions now for Bizarre, but the gas grenades are coming out, so you know that they're starting to run the clock down at the moment. PC419, after this one comes out, there should be one gas grenade to follow it, so they should be going in with about 30 seconds left. Pun, not a whole lot of health, so he'll be with the diffuser sitting back nice and far, probably going for the plant too. But here comes the execute. It starts off strong. They get rid of Twin. That's the guy you need to get out of here. AFX down. Sage does get traded back. But this is the time for PC419 to come in. Noob going for the plant, actually. Not Pun. But now trades happening. And Noob does not get the plant, which means now we're looking at PC419 forced to get the frags. And get the frags they do.
Absolutely nuts there. Sajin being able to magically find that headshot kill before getting downed is, yeah, that's all that was pretty much needed, because PC419 was still very wary about that, the fact that there was some crossfire potential from the cool vibe stairs. And the moment that one went down, they just swung in right onto the side and were able to find all of those frags that they needed. So 5-1 scoreline in a PC419 versus Bizarre on Bizarre's map pick. That is an insult and a half to Bizarre, given that they had such a great previous few weeks of the season. It's just mind-blowing. That's probably the only way to describe it.
Yeah, but we all knew it would come down to this match. This is the one that was near the end. After the first week or two, we knew that these teams were very close together, but PC419, I mean, of course both teams knew it was coming, but PC419 showing how much they've prepared for it, and now just showing how far ahead they are. So we finally got to answer the question, like, is there a gap between the top 4 and the bottom 4? And maybe this could be the gap that we could be seeing now that we get to round the leaderboard out. Of course, there's still going to be a map 2, and Bizarre may need to gather themselves, but PC419 are getting close to this one. We're now swapping over, so they get to be on defense here, but just 2 rounds Cthulhu for them to pick up, and they could walk away with map 1.
Yeah, exactly. And this is, once again, I'd like to reiterate, this is the map pick of Bizarre. This is not PC419's pick. This is their opponents, and PC419 are running away with a 5-1 scoreline. That is a statement and a half that PC419 are currently making here against Bizarre. And for Bizarre, I mean, it's an unfortunate situation for them, because they see
Devices set.
a bit off their pace, off their momentum there.
Yeah, and now to see how they go on defense. Maybe Bizarre's map pick here could have been because of their attack. We've seen it happen before. A big team that comes to mind when this sort of thing happens is ShadowNet, where they go down in a half like this, but then start swinging back because their map pick was because of a side like this on attack. So who knows? I mean, it's got to be good enough to win like 5 rounds in a row. So let's see what you've got here, Bizarre. But already they're taking shots, but at least none of it was fate.
Yeah, at the very least, yeah, it wasn't as bad as it wasn't as fatal, but here,
That's
for Yui, he's gonna be able to find a fatal shot onto Tesla. That is a fantastic angle as well. Minus the mute, that is the C4 obviously gone. Vlad trying to make any kind of sick roam plays, but President has that on lockdown. Sagen, meanwhile, does manage to fire back some heat, so that's AFX off board, but utility-wise, that's not as much of a huge loss. He needs to get rid of Yui, who's currently on that Ash, and I believe that's a missed stim pistol shot. Oh, that's a third one as well, missed! No! Pun missing out 2 of his stim shots, so won't be able to heal up Sagen to the full health, and oh, that is unfortunate there.
That's the sort of thing that happens in your ranked matches. It's worse than the doc, like just going for a peek and dying straight away and then having those stims later. This time he just shows them and drops them in front of you. Yui, though, has been camping outside that window for the longest time, and he gets 2 kills out of it. Bazaar should be looking to easily clean this one up now. Noob was the last man standing, and Yui, MVP for that round.
Oh yeah, Yui was absolutely going off there for his team. Finally, he's fully activated compared to what we saw him on the defense. And, well, maybe this is where Bazaar might muster up their comeback here, but it's still a little bit too early to call it, but at the very least, this is a very confident beginning for their second half here.
Yeah, it definitely felt good, but it definitely felt like a lot of it came from Yui over on that position. He had such a nice little hold in that door, and it was just PC419 dropping their attention towards it, just enough time for him to be able to take advantage of it, not once, but twice. And the second time picking up a double kill in a crucial period of the match. So big props to Yui for that one, but it's a pretty binary thing to solve for PC419. Just don't let Yui, or anyone for that matter, have such a strong position like that and drop your guard around it. If they can sort that out, then the round could look really different.
Yeah, I mean, even general momentum that we witnessed from Bazaar, it's like day and night difference there. Obviously, like we mentioned, it was pardon, thanks to Yui, but still, this does give hope to Bazaar for potentially making the play and potentially claiming this map to themselves. But there's still quite a fair bit of run to really go through before they will even toy with that idea properly.
Yeah, it's a long road back to the top for Bazaar. Because PC419, of course, the massively strong half, 5-1 to kick things off. They've set themselves up to only need a few wins here in the second half, only on defense. We've seen one round out here from Bazaar. It was a very strong showing for sure. Let's see how it changes up here on this second attempt. But of course, those free frags at the start, it doesn't look like it's happening in a similar way. Yui's deep inside now. But he's going to have the backup of Ghoul and AFX now, so this little hit squad could be dangerous if he's got the right support. He's got plenty of drones around to let him know what's going on.
I like this. I like the live droning that Bazaar are currently doing here. They just making sure that each and one of the angles will be checked here, and essentially wherever they go, this is where the drones are looking at as well. Main issue from that could be is the fact that they could overlook some of the rotation points, maybe could miss out on Sagen, because he was, so far, at least in the first half, he was an absolute menace for Bazaar to really deal with. So here, they will need to be extra cautious about that vigil roaming.
He's starting to creep up on them too, so it could be crunch time soon here, as drones are starting to get picked off. And PC419 are going to force Bazaar to play in the dark just a little bit. But speaking of the dark, Sejon creeping around here, wanting to be the Batman that strikes in the night. I wonder if they know, yeah, they should be able to hear President on the outside too. But as far as things going here, PC419 is running the clock down, only a minute to go. And Bazaar about to start making their moves, and make them they do. Tesla, the first to fall. And the plant actually going down, but it is quickly shut down as PC419 open the slaughterhouse, and they welcome Bazaar in with the doors wide open. Yui doing what he can here, trying to find some of the magic from the last round, but he's got to sprint into the lines of fire and still somehow survived.
Yeah, still managing to run away with a fair bit of health and still able to contest a few angles. He has just went into a full Ash Brain mode, just swinging, just flicking left, right, and center. We'll be trying to actually get the plan down, and there will be a sound cue for both of the players to start rotating in, but the plan will be quite successful. Yui will still have a very safe angle, but not so safe anymore. Pun is the one to claim his life, and PC419 claim the match point.
Always so sad to see a player work so hard to clutch here, and then at the end they just happen to lose one.
It doesn't even matter.
Yeah, it doesn't even matter. Like, you got the plant down and everything, but the point is right now is that PC419 set themselves up to have the position to win that one super easily and put themselves on match point. And it's all, of course, because it's a similar thing. Their first great half. Now, they have many rounds where they're going to have that buffer. They just have to win one. It's going to be a do or die round every single round now for Bizarre. We know that they're okay with a draw, but they really wanted that 2-0. So to lose this first map could be pretty crushing for them, but it keeps PC419 in here. And they get to do it on defense again. So Oryx looks like he's going to be jumping into the party here. This is going to be a fun one. It's always great to see Oryx pop up. We still haven't really seen any like crazy montage moments from Oryx just yet, but I feel like we're going to get one soon. We're kind of due one.
Yeah, we're due on a proper Oryx flank through the hatch. Maybe knock a few attackers down, and then we nearly had one, but it wasn't as flashy as probably one would have expected from the quote unquote the proper Oryx montage.
If he got the one before, it would have been a montage. He only got 2 people completely for free though, so it was close. But speaking of close, PC419, oh so close to snagging this first map. I'm sure they'd be gunning for it. They have left themselves so much breathing room here, like I've said, with the rounds. Their defense room looks solid. They've got a little bit of everything. Intel, roaming, anchoring, everything's perfect right now for them to just sit back, play normal, and even throw a curveball with the Oryx in here a little bit, but even that's becoming less of a curveball as the season goes on. And so, nothing too out of the ordinary or crazy for PC419 to rely on. Just some solid gameplay here in this potentially final round.
Yeah, we'll have to see how will this potentially final round unravel here. Already some breaching being made, and already the entrance by Ghoul. Very swift, not really wasting a whole lot of time. They want to establish some early dominance, some early foothold before they go on to make any more further pushes. Some pressure onto Tesla is being made as he already lost half of his health, and well, that is going to force him to play a little bit more conservative now in Hookah Lounge.
Yeah, I was just going to say, they have such a good idea of his position. Ghoul can just peek him through the window. And so Tesla falls. Only 4-man defense now left remaining. Of course, at least he got down all the mute jammers, so he's done a good amount of his job so far. Vlad now going to be on the roam. He hasn't found anything just yet. Give us that montage, Vlad. Oh, it's not going to start by just dying, Vlad. So let's see. No, all right. Looks like he's going to have to run away, and that will be the montage instead. Oh, Sage, no. Oh, he doesn't win that fight. Oh, and Ghoul and President pick up one apiece. Well, this is looking like a disaster for PC419, and we may yet get another round.
Hold your breath on that one. Pun still has something to say about that. There's still not a single person on the actual site as well, and Noob and Pun seeming to have things on a little bit of a lockdown there. The Echo Drone should at the very least provide some good information gathering, but unfortunately for him, that's not going to come through. A fantastic swing by Ghoul will be ensuring a death of Noob, and now all down to Pun, who was extremely tagged up, and now we'll have to swing in onto the attackers to try to get the win. Does find one. That's a nice clean headshot. There's going to be pressure coming through onto Hooker. He still has about 35 seconds left to go in for some of the peaks, but right now Bizarre playing very, very carefully, very patiently.
Man, Pun is on a mission. He is zooming. He knows he's got time, but he's still moving quickly. He's checked so many angles. Gets flashed, still okay, still holds the line. He needs his frag. Oh, the pre-fires come out, but he doesn't guess right. And now he has to go for the defuse. But no, he's gone flashed again. He's gonna bait it. The shots come out, and surely that's done and dusted. He is pinned down, forced to run out, and Bizarre, they take him down, and they live another round.
Sure do. 9th round will be claimed now to the hands of Bizarre. Only 3 rounds remain until we could potentially be seeing an overtime. But for that to happen, Bizarre need to be flawless on their execution. Not a single round can be anymore afforded to really be lost here for themselves. So now this is the grind time. This is where they need to hunker down to let go of any of the tilting feelings, of any negativity, and just get all of their concentration into the game. Just push it as hard as possible, because this is the last chance for them to even have a shot at a 2-0.
And you got to give it a little bit to Bizarre here. It could have been really easy to crumble after that first half, but they are bringing it back, and in higher pressure rounds too. Remember, they literally lose any round here, they're out, and they have to go to map number 2. We got to go to Oregon. But for now, they're keeping it up. They're doing well in high pressure situations. I mean, imagine how it would have felt. So let Tesla go. No. Cthulhu may have to see this round start again here unless Tesla sorts it out. Because it looks like it's possibly, unless he's getting some exercise done. And, you know, you can't really get a lot done with social distancing rules. Unless you're in New Zealand, you can do whatever you want. But, yeah, Tesla, unfortunately, he's not been exercising. He's been kicked out. And it looks like we're probably going to have to see this round start again. I don't know. We'll have to wait for the ruling.
I believe, the ruling will need to come through, but I think the rehost should be able to come through. But
yeah, well, it happens in the prep phase. I believe the rules state that, if it's in prep phase, this round should not count. It should just be a rehost, but I guess we'll just have to hang on, wait and see. Let's see if PC419 can get it done with 4. That'd be the the real fun way to secure the match point round. Getting it done with a peak is always fun to do when you've got the only 4 people. Sage, what a great start. Yui's out of there, and he just books it. Just gets out of there. Oh no! Look, get him through the hole.
Let the mans through. Bizarre right now. They need to get the. They need to get things going. I'm not too sure whether the round will be replayed, but right now, I guess we're sticking with the game plan so far. So, in a 4v4 situation, PC419 will need to get there. We'll need to muster up all of their defenses here.
Yeah, Yui just showing sportsmanship to make the match even here. Sage, though, little less health. Still just waiting on confirmation here for the round, but like we said, we're just going to play it out for now, see how it goes. But, I mean, if BC419 can get it done with 4 people, then, you know, who sees how it goes? All right, looks like, yeah, it's going to be confirmed here. Sorry it took a little while there, guys, but we are going to rehost this round. Because of course the disconnect did happen in the prep phase, so it's not going to count. But we are still sitting in match point position. Everything's still the same. It's still the same high pressure moments. We should be getting the exact same operators and everything, so everything's going to look the same as we jump back into it, except the difference is we're going to have a Tesla. Yeah,
we're actually going to be able to have Tesla to come through and actually be able to play it out instead of us having a bit of a 4v5 action from the get-go and at the potentially last round. But that gives us time to really talk about some of the theories and what could be the potential outcomes of tonight's final matchup. Because, so say we are on a draw between these two teams, how we're looking points-wise?
So if we end up with a draw, because Bizarre already have a 1-point lead, they both play teams next week where they're likely to get a 2-0. So there shouldn't be any difference in the points there. So this 1-point lead would be what wins Bizarre their spot in the playoffs. However, if Shatternet or Bitterhems throw an upset, even if it's just one map next week, then that could change everything. So for a team to lock in their fate, like on their own. They don't have to rely on any other matches. Just get the 2-0 tonight. It's really the only way to decide it. For Bizarre, the draw means you're still probably gonna make it in, but for PC419, they can't draw. They have to get the 2-0. So, sitting further behind, it's nice that they've got the start, and it's nice that they're on match point because they do need to win map 1.
Yeah. Map 1 needs to happen anytime, because the moment we're going to go on to PC419's turf, that is going to be Oregon. I feel Bizarre might be having a few hiccups here and there. So, they need to find that dub early on here. They need to get that comeback going. I mean, they were able to slow down the bleed of the rounds, but I mean, so many rounds were lost out to some of the rather more unfortunate rotations here, and only now it's seeming that Bizarre are activating themselves. It's slightly probably too close to outside the comfort zone, and for PC419, their chances are still there for that 2-0, and if they are able to get it, it's should be a pretty quick one if they are able to crush the opposition here on this first map.
Yeah, I mean, Bizarre have slowed down the bleeding a little bit now that they've swapped, but they've still dropped around, and that means they can easily drop another one. The ones that they're winning aren't exactly it's not like they're flawless rounds or anything. They're still coming a bit close, so it's still worrying. It still feels like PC419 are eventually just going to pick this one up, whether it's this round that we're going to jump back into, or if we have to take a few rounds to get there. I don't predict overtime, but hey, I mean, maybe Bizarre does bring it back. This is their map pick after all, and now they're finally on what is presumably their preferred side. So this could be the change that we were looking for, but I just want to reiterate, they have dropped around, so it's totally possible for it to happen again.
Sure is. Well, we are back now into the game, ladies and gentlemen. Quick rehost, that's all about it. Same operators, same site. Blue bar is going to be the potential final round here for map number 1 to be played out. Or maybe we will be seeing the return of the Jedi. That is the Bizarre Gaming
Defenders
here on their own map pick, but it's still yet to be seen. Interestingly enough, actually, whilst we're still in the prep phase, Smite, I have something to talk to you about.
What do you have to talk to me about?
So PC419, on July 21st, that is pretty much yesterday, has announced on Twitter that they are bidding farewell to Sajin. So, after I'm assuming they're doing the similar thing that is Ferox doing. So they allowing the player to play it out in till the end of the season, and then he's kind of fully free agent.
Right. Yeah.
But
No, so I missed that tweet actually.
5 seconds to go.
Yeah, but the fact how Sajin was impactful here on this game already
Defuse a bomb.
has me puzzled as to why would he be either dropped or why would he leave the current roster?
I mean, I think it's just reasons we're not going to see until he gets picked up
probably
by the team. Or maybe we'll never know, but I think for Sage, his goal is obviously just going to have the best performance he can possibly have with his remaining games with PC419. I think he's doing so pretty well so far. But let's take a look here. Already, it's going to be a run out. Maybe just a scare Bizarre, just a little bit here. I think they did throw them off just a little bit, but they quickly worked out what was going on. A lot of utility being chucked in here to try and get through Tesla's little brick wall of magnets all over the place. But it looks like he should fairly quickly be forced back. They have drained almost a minute now of time.
Yeah, fair bit of time has been drained. I mean, a minute off is already a pretty good start, but Bizarre need to nail their shots here pretty well. Vlad, to kick things off against Ghoul, that is, as a fear of board, that is the last thing that you want to see happen. Surely gonna be hurting quite a fair bit, given that Bizarre will be feeling those deaths within this very specific round.
Yeah, I mean, Twent has been clutching a little bit before, but he really needs to turn it up here in this round because he's got a 4v5 with the rest of his team to face down with PC419 on match point. Tesla's not really facing any kind of contention at all, and Pun, he was just so jealous of that C4 kill. He wanted one for himself
Bomb
too.
located by
And now
attackers.
there's no more Ash. Yui's out of here.
Yeah, with Yui out, this is going to be hurting even more. Yui was a grand aggressor there for his team, and them out, it's down to Twin, down to AFX, down to President, the trio of Bizarre, the ex-Sleeper Gaming. Now will need to make actually things work here for themselves. Can they find those frags though? Because right now, full PC419, just as I was about to say full healthy, Tesla decides to go in for the swing and will be failing that.
Yeah, Tesla walked out there with all the confidence of that Vince McMahon meme, where just kind of swag walks out there, but is certainly punished pretty heavily for it. That said, it's still a 4v3 here for PC419, holding on to that man lead. Tesla's bought tons of time, so his death not the end of the world. Pundo is pinned down a little bit, or maybe AFX was pinned down there outside against Pun as he picks that one up. 2 people now remaining, and it's about to drop down even more as President's now gone. Just Twint trying to pick up a kill on Vlad, and then still he'd need to get through more, but he can't even do that. PC419 clean it up here on round 10 and move with 1 win in the series already.
There's a huge performance here for PC419, and it wasn't even a close map in any shape or form. It's a 7-3 scoreline here for themselves, and for Bizarre, this must be a very stinging loss here. The fact that they had a few beginnings for their pushes, a few starts for their comeback, but ultimately just could not get any success there in any shape or form for themselves, and well, that pretty much is going to be a loss for the first map. They still have a chance to draw it out, which, like you mentioned before, is what they need at the very least to set them up for the potential success. But apart from that, there's the momentum is certainly now looking quite heavily in favor of PC419 here.
Yeah, well, PC419, 1 map in the bag. They want to snag the 2-0. They'll have to wait until after this break to move over to Oregon, where we'll be going to our next map. One more map remains in this series. PC419 already taking 1 map, looking for 1 more to take that 2-0, but Bizarre absolutely keen to come back and snag 1 map to make it a draw, because that still keeps them in the lead on the leaderboard. Cthulhu, I mean, that was a very unexpected result, I think, in map 1. I don't think anyone really called PC419 to open things up with a 5-1/2 and then close it out with 6-3. Sorry, 7-3.
Yeah, 7-3 was the final scoreline on the first map, and it was just absolutely mind-blowing to see how dominant PC419 were here. And going into their own map pick, it should be a very quick game in their favor if they continue their momentum there.
Yeah, but that's the question, I guess, because if you remember, map 1 was, of course, not their pick. So now we get to go to PC419, we get to go to their pick, we get to see what makes them so strong on this map, why they would pick it up. Of course, they won't be on their preferred side to start things off, so maybe we've got to wait until the half to really get through it. Maybe they won't have that super strong opening that we saw back in map number 1, but hey, maybe it happens anyway, and then it just steamrolls even further because it's their map pick. So you'd imagine that they'd be looking to come in here with some very, very strong rounds indeed. But here we are, the last map of the day, and this one, ladies and gentlemen, is brought to you by the New Zealand Military Defence Force, and they are recruiting now, so make sure you check that one out. But thanks to their support, we get to get into this one, and we kick it off by banning Thatcher, as is tradition in, I think, every single match tonight.
At this point, poor SAS Op just doesn't get any luck with getting any play tonight. Same goes for Maverick. He was banned out, I believe, on the previous times as well. Theme Park. Wait, sorry, not Theme Park. Oregon doesn't really like to see Thatcher in any shape or form. So yeah, he won't have a whole lot of good times in this week at all.
Basically means we're likely to see Kali pop out just as some sort of way to deal with the bandit batteries. You're probably going to see quite a lot of these here in Oregon, a very popular thing to do, especially with Kayet also not in the table right now. So vertical play is going to be pretty scary for the defenders here. If they're ever in the basement, you're going to have to be pretty scared of that a lot. But here we go, straight into kitchen and dining hall, actually, to kick things off here onto Oregon.
Yeah, kitchen and dining is an odd one because I believe we actually saw the very first iteration or the second iteration on the Skyfire versus Bitter Hams matchup, and that went interestingly between both of the teams. Here between BC419 and Bizarre with BC419 on defense, I'm curious. I'm genuinely interested how will this play out because this definitely shifts more of the utility, more of the pressure onto the small tower rather than the large tower or the main lobby. So curious how will BC419 approach this defense.
Yeah, I wonder if it's also just trying to throw Bizarre off to kick things off here. It would certainly be something that PC419 would have in their bag of tricks, but who knows? We'll see how it is going to play out here in practice. PC419, a really strong performance back on Coastline, so I imagine they're looking to repeat it here. Bizarre will have wanted to take the few minutes during that break to really collect themselves, find out what's going on. Because we've seen Bizarre as a very strong team that can take it to PC419, but it feels like it's just PC419, the one that's showing up today. Let's see if they continue it here in Oregon. It's, again, a very familiar, comfortable map by now for a lot of teams. And so this one, especially on this opening site here, a lot of it has come down to just one-on-ones. Let's see if that continues here on Oregon.
Sure is. Bizarre just only slightly changed around their lineup to accommodate the choice of Kali. Here she could actually make quite a huge difference here, but instead we're actually seeing a top-down attempt at clearing out the small tower, because that is where the main issue could be happening. Went to pick up the first frag onto Tesla. Now that is already a solid beginning, but they need to get rid of Noob here.
Well, they definitely have the numbers to get rid of him, unless he plays out of his mind at the moment, but he's going to be waiting quite patiently. Drones just kind of appearing around him, but eventually he goes out for the peek. Does he do it blind? He found someone. AFX is on the ground, but he's lost a bunch of health, lost his sight. He got a kill during that, but it is traded. I don't know how he managed to get anything done. He did down AFX during that. He does come back up, but that is now, that one extra life now gone. Vlad is going to be the next victim.
Yeah, Vlad's feet got spotted out through that peak hole that he had opened up, and well, that is going to be resulting in him receiving quite a fair bit of punishment there through all those pre-fires. So right now, he's not going to be looking too healthy, and well, Sajin will be following suit and falling into the grave, leaving all up to Pun and Vlad to try to clutch it up against the four-man onslaught of the Bizarre roster.
Yeah, not a lot for these two to do here. Maybe Pun can make something happen, but as I'm even starting that sentence, he's lost 90% of his health. He's thrown out one of his smoke canisters. There it goes. He's popping it off, but what can he really buy with this here? As him and Vlad are both on basically no health. He does drop down. He's got to really hope that that one gas cloud is going to be enough, because now he faces the true fight, and it is called gun. So Bizarre now picking up that round to open things off here. It was a pretty strong opening. I thought maybe Tesla was going to slow it down a bit, but looks like the damage was already done.
Yeah, all the damage was done there. It's just Bizarre just decided to swing right in and just didn't really care about any momentum or any setups that PC419 could have potentially had. So very solid beginning here, especially considering after what was an unfortunate loss there for Bizarre. It certainly shows that they might just have all the skills to get themselves reset mentally and get back into the fight.
Yeah, it wouldn't be the first time we see a pretty one-sided first map and then it kind of swings back the other way. especially on opposite map picks. It seems to be the case on that quite a lot too. You win on your opponent's map
Attackers
pick,
need to locate
but
and defuse as many bombs as they
Bizarre, I mean, that was only one round for sure. It was a pretty strong opening. There wasn't any kind of weird little mistakes or crazy things that PC419 would just, you know, do or die moments where it got shut down. So Bizarre feel like, again, they've got the consistency here now where on Oregon to do it again, to pick up some more of those rounds here. There's a really good intro, and now we're also onto a bit more of a familiar site. So they'll have a bit more of an idea on how to approach it here. Of course, I say it a lot. It comes down to this construction push and how early you can stop it.
Look, I mean, out of all the teams, it's bizarre that will have full knowledge about how to get completely 180'd on map number 2. They had that experience firsthand against Skyfire on Villa. I'm pretty sure they would be remembering that pain throughout the whole season. So as long as they don't allow another 7-0 to happen against them, that's all that I would ask from them.
Yeah, I think they might want a little more than that. I mean, that's a good start for sure. But here we go. As we move on into it, this is going to be a bit of a second chance here for PC419 to work out what happened on defense. I think if they can find their footing here, they can look to continue their success they saw on Coastline. But yeah, if things continue to go the way of Bizarre and not in very, very binary fashions, then maybe I think this could be just a draw. But we're going to need a few more rounds to find out here, because Bizarre, they seem to have slowed down on setting up their positioning around here. They're being, I don't know, kind of pushed around all over the place here. They don't really want to commit on a solid place at the moment. They might run out of time.
Yeah, that is a scary thing here for Bizarre. If they run out of time, it's going to be a very painful procedure to go through. They haven't really drawn out those magnet devices, so it's going to make things 10 times harder, but finally the lance will connect, and so now the grenades might start to be flying in, but even that won't be really helping in any shape or form. Sagen all ready and all prepared really to get the bandit tricking going, and Twin just misses out by a few seconds on that reinforcement.
Yeah, so this is already just running the clock down really well by PC419. They're slowing down the push so well. Does the bandit trick go off? I think it did, and now they've just forced Bizarre into just a really awkward little push here. They may be able to get through the wall here, but again, the battery comes out just in time to make sure no one's going to be doing anything around here. Sage quick to pick them up too, but Bizarre know what's going on, so they know they've got to approach through these stairs, through these angles, and through the peaks. Tesla will be the first one to fall. Not a lot of time now for Bizarre to make the rest of this work, but let's see if they'll make the push here. Vlad has to fall back. Not too many gas bombs left either. Maybe he throws one out. Yeah, he does, and traps his opponent, traps his victim, pulls the shotgun out just in case anyone dares turn the corner. And Bizarre feel still very pinned down.
Yeah, they sure do. All the flashbangs are starting to fly in. Noob able to get a frag, but oh, it's a flurry of kills. Bizarre seem to have the man advantage, but the health is not there, but at the very least, the guns are certainly there. AFX is the one to get things down and dusted there, finally, for his team, as that air jab certainly did help with the win.
Yeah, and you say low health bars, like 3 of them were on about, you know, probably single-digit health points at that point. So that came incredibly close, but impressive for Bizarre to be able to swing around the corner and actually manage to get that. They got so much of their breaching denied. They had to rely on some very strong peaks with some pretty solid backup to guarantee some trades. And, well, it worked out really well for them. The final push was really what managed to swing it out for them. But, hey, the fact that they could do it from such an awkward position with, I mean, not a zero amount of time, but not the most, they still managed to make it work. So Bizarre certainly looking like they've turned things around here now in Oregon. 2 rounds in a row, they're looking solid, even with maybe some mishaps. So they can play from behind, they can play from ahead, they can even come back from a pretty rough map loss. So I'm actually feeling confident that Bizarre can bring the win here just as easily as PC419 could.
Well, we'll have to see. We'll have to see what could happen here, because yeah, if for Bazaar not everything is yet lost. They can still bring it all the way back into their hands and into a draw here. But PC419, it was a very confident beginning with map number 1, but they need to get the momentum, get their plans back in track, because otherwise this could be pretty much an effort all for nothing.
Okay, so gonna set things all up once again. Bazaar now gonna have to head upstairs. Last round went really well. I mean, everyone stepping up to the plate during that too, which is really nice to see. No one really kind of letting the team down, but also no one really taking over with it. Quick shot coming out from Twent. Still not finding the exact things he's looking for. Of course, we want to get rid of this battery so we can get a breach going. You can see Noob's going to be holding the line down there for a while. No bandit tricks here. Does not want to risk his life at all with Carly on the other side, so he's just going to try and hold the hallway once the breach goes down, but he may very quickly find himself retreating.
Yeah, he will be trading places between himself and Vlad now that Vlad has just a bigger, slightly bigger ammo count in the magazine, well, box magazine that is, and hopefully we'll be able to hold off the onslaught of the Bazaar players. For now, meanwhile, Bazaar are kind of rearranging all of their positions and maybe looking at applying pressure from the walk-in closet and maybe the master bedroom.
Yeah, so again, they've kind of sacrificed a bit of time to rotate around and get this better position. It's a bit of a rough cost, but sometimes you've got to take it. So they've got to make this the second half of here nice and efficient, nothing too slow. They're going to make their moves nice and quick, and that unfortunately may have been too quick because Sage is now taking out Ghoul, and that IQ loss is going to sting because I don't think they made too much progress. Oh, Tesla, that took a bit of progress, but he gets another kill for the defense. The C4 follow-up doesn't get the bargain buy, or just kidding.
Oh, no.
Just kidding, it does.
Oh, no. Oh, that was just pain there for PC419. Poor Noob.
Sometimes it happens, and sometimes this happens too. Just wrapping around the corner, and just in a flurry, suddenly we've got PC419 winning the round there. But oh man, poor pun. I'm still remembering that.
Yeah, poor pun indeed. Able to finally make it work here on this very round, but Laundry will be a retry from PC419, as it seems that they have managed to break that initial pace that Bazaar had and could potentially be looking at scoring themselves maybe around, or maybe Bazaar just had a bit of a hiccup there on round number 3 and will just continue marching through and scoring themselves that much needed point to even it out on at the end of the day points wise.
So back to Laundry and Supply.
Yeah.
This time, this is where we saw
Protect your bombs from being
Bazaar slow down a little bit and get caught up on some of the breaches, which is always hard with the breaching options after these bans. No Thatcher is always, no Maverick is always kind of annoying when you've got to deal with the annoying bandit just constantly electrifying the walls and making so you can't put your big freaking hole in there. You always want to be able to do that. But yeah, the point is being that Bazaar got stuck here and unable to do any of that in the last round. Last time we saw the site. So if they can do that a little differently, then maybe it can be even more one-sided. Because last time they were in a pretty big pickle in their positioning and they still pulled it out.
Attackers are moving out to locate a bomb and defuse.
Last time they PC419 had a pretty good idea about how to play it out, but just some of the gunfights did not go the way that they wanted. So eventually we saw them find their demise eventually. Interestingly enough, Bazaar are actually planning to go for a bit more of an upfront, coming out from the master bedroom and maybe start their assault from there, which not a bad idea, but definitely probably not the most advantageous one to, at the very least, offering right at the beginning.
Yeah, well, again, it's being taken fairly slowly. Nothing too crazy coming out, at least at the moment. No shenanigans with peaks or early roams. Everything's pretty normal for now.
Stand by to witness the punch.
And Bazaar have been okay on time. I've never really been worried about them for their time. They always get to the site with enough time, and even then, they're pretty efficient on it, even if it does look like it's going to get a bit dicey. So my faith is still here for Bazaar, even if it is taking some time. Now they're finally getting down the stairs. Here's where the test really begins, and Noob is going to be the first one in their way. And he has got just a little fortress of magnets down there.
Yeah, fortress of magnets is probably one way to describe this, but so far that fortress won't be saving Sagen, unfortunately, and well, it's going to be quite a full-on push here at the freezer as another set of magnets has been extinguished. Noob has finally kind of chilled out on after being blinded by the flashbang, and Ghoul already taken point at the laundry storage out of all the positions.
Yeah, is he gonna find anything with it? And by the way, oh, down the stairs, Tesla gets the kill and gets out of there. That's exactly what he wants. And with the distraction, the chaos, some trades come out. Maybe not how PC419 wanted it, but hey, like you'll take it for now. They still have to worry about Tesla. Like, where did he go? They don't know. And now Bazaar feel like they are pinned down, and their attack has been shut down for now. It's just Yui and Ghoul to finish this one off. 35 seconds. Pun, not a whole lot of health. Oh, but it's only Ghoul now, and he gets shut down just as quickly. And with that, it's another PC419 round. They've evened things up here. They've gotten a little bit of redemption going.
Yeah, they were able to draw out the scoreline now, 2 apiece for themselves to allow just a little bit more comfort ground for themselves to make that comeback, maybe, just maybe. For Bazaar, slight few hiccups here and there. They had a very good beginning for their round, but ultimately seemed to have choked out on a few engagements and just weren't able to close them out completely, which resulted in them kind of initially gaining control of Freezer, then losing control of Freezer. No flank, meaning the Jaeger just went in for the flank and started picking them apart, and after that it just all went downhill from there.
Yeah, I feel like they just kind of lost it once the flank happened. Obviously, the kill really didn't help, but just the chaos from behind, like they've got to constantly now worry about Tesla on the stairs, and then they were getting shot at from the front. It felt like they had it after they got that bandit kill. Like maybe that was it. They had enough time to make the push, but yeah, the flank from PC419, just Tesla securing that round there, I think being the big swing play for that round. But we are tied up now. I feel like PC419 have found their footing on some of these rounds. Although you still have to remember that some of them are feeling quite tight. These aren't flawless rounds. There's certainly plenty of opportunity here for either team to swing back. It could be one of those maps that does go round for round now that we've evened it up.
5 seconds left.
Yeah, now comes the question as to how would both teams perform under pressure here. Main pressure is mainly coming into Bazaar, because they're the ones that need to at least find a single point, and they're the ones who are missing out on their own map picks. So now they're trying to kind of even it out on their opponent's map pick, not on their comfort turf, at least partially. So this is where the main question gonna come through.
Ghoul.
But just as much of a question as to how Ghoul just gets that frag onto Tesla, but either way, it is a very solid start here for the Bazaar gang.
Some kind of second sight or some kind of beautiful nose there for Ghoul to find that one out. He's still finding them. We didn't see how this happened, but what's next? He's going to hunt down Noob and know exactly his position. The Ghoul is on fire at the moment.
And getting rid of both Vlad and Tesla, now that is a huge set of 2 frags. Pun, Noob, and Sagen still have the chance to really get the play here for themselves, but against a fully healthy stack of Bazaar, things might be looking a little bit grim there.
Yeah, this is not the advantage at all. You want to be facing down Bazaar. It's really their round to lose here at this point. literally just don't run into the line of sights. They should be all good. No crazy utility left at the moment right now. The ADS should be pretty easy to drain now that Tesla's gone. There's no one coming behind them at the moment. So Bizarre have all the position to just keep waiting for Sage and Hun and Noob to make these crazy peaks like they're doing right now. Every time they poke their head out like this, it's very risky because their lives mean so much more right now than Bizarre's individually. Early smoke's already starting to come out. So this is getting very dicey at the moment. A minute now down, so I mean, props to PC419 for running this clock down. But now the first kill starts happening. Pun finds one, but it has to be a whole lot more than that to come back into this round. No plant just yet. Bizarre just looking for the frag. Sage does not find it. His friend falls down, and so does he. Bizarre, round number 5 is theirs.
Sure is, and Bizarre continue their very confident performance on kitchen dining. In the first round, they were able to very comfortably punish PC419 for even deciding to pick that very side. And then on the second attempt, just about a similar story. Easy entry, big props to Ghoul for finding those 2 frags, because those were the ones that forced the remainder of PC419 to play in a very passive way, and this is exactly what Bizarre were looking for. So here on Kids Dorms, this is going to be the decider, whether Bizarre will be able to run away with a 2-point lead and have a very comfortable beginning to their defense, or rather we will be seeing PC419 draw it out and we're going to be essentially back to ground zero.
Okay, Dokkaebi now coming out because the Thermite can
Attackers
be
need to locate and defuse
the main breacher, of course, but no one to back it up if the wall is looking a little bit electrified, electrocuted. Can you electrocute the wall? I don't think so, but yeah, no Kali being the big thing here. So they're going to be a little more limited in the pathways Bizarre are going to be able to breach. So this Dokkaebi pick, Twent had better make it worth it.
I mean, with the way how most of the times teams go for the push for the breaches, there's always some floor that can be destroyed from below. So here, the way how I'm seeing it is there's going to be an attempt to take control of the meeting, get a breach from down below, open up that way the wall to the attic. And after that, you have one of the places to go in for the breach. Second breach charge from Yui could go in the study right at that walk-in closet wall, and that should get rid of the bandit charges from there, or at the very least open up the hole in the floor to make sure that the bandit trick won't be coming through. So there are a few ways about it. PC419 are very much knowledgeable about it, so they will have at least some room to be dedicated to the meeting hole, but I'm not too sure if they know about the fact that it is going to be a full 5-man swing actually onto the ground floor.
Yeah, we're bringing everyone to the party here, and even the runouts are going to be going out, so they even just get gifted a little bit of free information just based on where everyone is on the map. And so Bizarre kind of stoked with how that's going right now. So let's see if they can find what they need.
Yeah, well, Ghoul from down below will be able to get rid of the bandit charges. A little bit of an excessive force there by Yui to try to maybe clear out the position that bandit could be having, but apart from that, this is just going to be a pretty quick, pretty swift breach there.
Yeah, pretty quick, pretty smooth, and they're actually even going to rotate around for it with a few members. In fact, just swing quite wide all the way around here. Vlad going to be still sitting here, holding down the hall. Of course, he's only going to be dealing with a few people at the moment, but of course, he's going to be splitting his attention nice and wide, so he's going to be sitting here for a while here. Has some ADS to hold down the line, so he'll be all right for now. That was a decent chunk of time that Bizarre spent on getting that entry point, but now that they have it, they can start approaching the sites from different points, see the peaks that they can find. AFX does not find anything that he wants just yet, but yeah, I definitely wanted to stay a little quiet because on that Nomad, being able to flush people out is pretty fantastic. Still waiting on the logic bombs, Cthulhu, and we've got a minute to go, so they should be coming out very, very soon.
Yeah, we're still waiting for the logic bombs to come out. I would imagine that this will be quite highly off some of the coordination that the IGLs will be calling out. AFX and UE finding the shots. Sagen and Noob off the board. The two very impactful operators now gone. Now again a 3v4, make it 4v2, as it is a little bit of a trade to come out. Vlad is still very much alive, same as Pun. That duo once again will be seeing themselves at a bit of a challenge, you could say, as now Vlad is the one to start taking quite some damage.
Yeah, they're going to do what they can. They do have not a whole lot of time left to make this one work, so they've got to run through the gas, but with only one defender left. Oh, Vlad does get the kill. The plant does have to go down, and oh, he can't deny it, so he has to go for the retake here, and that, my friend, is not going to happen.
Yeah, well, Bizarre finally able to get themselves back into the game, their heads back into it. Finally being able to take control of the scoreline. 4-2 is the end of the first half, with them being on attack. Now let's take a look. How will they be able to perform on the defense, and whether they will be able to finally claim the map point here?
Yeah, and they need to not let it get away from themselves right now, because Bizarre need this win. They can't let anything just let them drop these rounds for no reason. They can't let PC419 bring it back. Bizarre to drop the series here would all but kick them out of the top four. They may obviously still find a way back in with results next week, but yeah, after this half, they're putting themselves in a good position to do it. I always say that once we swap sides, that's if we're going to see a continuing trend where give it like 2 rounds to see. Bizarre, I mean, they were pretty comfortable on defense back on Coastline. It shouldn't be too surprising to expect them to be comfortable here on defense again. This is again a comfortable one. They're starting things off in the basement. I think this is going to give us a really good idea of how the second half is going to go, whether it will be PC419 bringing it back, or Bizarre just holding it strong. If PC419 swing past construction real strong, real quick
10 seconds to
here on the site, then I think they'll have a good shot at coming back. But watch for Bizarre to just shut them down at construction and run that clock down.
Attacker's objective is to locate.
Yeah, if Bizarre are able to shut it down, I wouldn't be surprised if we will be seeing yet another point to be gained by Bizarre here. PC419, they had a few shaky performances here and there, and they have that trend where they could have one map out of 2 performing really well, but the moment they're starting to get in over their heads a little bit, this is where they start losing out the rounds. And well, possibly this is the time when their kind of mojo is having a downtime there for themselves. But maybe Sagen with his entry frags will be the one to actually bring in the heat here and bring in the success, the pog moments, as the youngins would say. And maybe he will be able to lead his team into the comeback victory here.
It would be a pretty crazy way to snag the 2-0, to come back from this position. That would be, yeah. I mean, PC419 are a team that would probably deserve a story like that. But for the moment, we've got to look at the likely scenario, which is Bizarre. They're in the lead. They're likely to pick up a few rounds here in the second half. So it is on PC419 to pull out something special. But now we're getting the first few breaches coming out. We're going to have the entry from above down onto the point. I don't think we got anything at all really through construction. So there's going to be just a few limited angles for Bizarre to hold down. But, oh, that first kill. Sage picks it off from downtown too. That is a solid start to the attack here, and it continues actually as President falls. And now everything is just going to start getting executed. PC419, call up the janitors because they're cleaning up.
Almost a flawless round as well on Laundry. That was a very quick conclusion of it, as yeah, PC419 seeming to be ready to frag it out. That was a very good read by them as well. We did talk that if Bizarre would have been able to shut down any kind of points of entry there for PC419, that could have been a huge one, but it seems that they've just read a little bit wrong and weren't able to rotate their forces accordingly, at least in the very timely manner. So that does result in their demise there.
Yeah, and I think there was just some really good mechanical outplays by PC419 in that round. They just swung the corners way better. They got the peaks just quicker, and they got them all for free too. So it was all just basically marching through the attacking point. And like we were saying, they didn't even have all the entries into the point either. So it's not like they outmaneuvered Bizarre or anything. They just simply got some better shots. So that's sometimes just what gets you the rounds. So look, PC419, they're fine to get it that way. Does it continue? I think that one might be a little risky. Sage, you're never gonna hide with that one. But yeah, I'm not too sure. I think we need 1 or 2 more rounds still, because that one felt just PC419 outgunning their opponents. Like, yeah, that can sometimes win you the round, but it doesn't always tell you what the next round's gonna look like.
5 seconds to go.
Yeah, well,
Attacker's objective is to locate a bomb.
at this point, it's more so of a question of which team has a stronger mental fortitude here between the two of them. Because right now, both of them need the win on this map. For PC419, they have a match point on themselves. They need the second map to be won for themselves as well to ensure that they are going to be in the playoffs. For Bizarre, they need that map win on the second one just to ensure that they will still have a competitive chance to really stay in and get into the playoffs as well. So a whole lot of ifs, a whole lot of possibilities, but now it's each and every round that will count.
Perimeter defense online.
Yeah, it really just does come down to this one map, which is pretty crazy, pretty scary for both of these teams. I imagine the pressure is really high, especially as these rounds get closer. Oh, cool. How does he keep doing it at the start of these rounds? Just through the walls. This guy's a machine.
Absolute nuts of a player. We'll be attempting to go in on a roam, and oh, those are some fitsies, but oh, Yui, fantastic timing. Will be able to catch Vlad off his position. Now, both Sagen and Vlad gone, and PC419 might be having a little bit of a rough time there to try to get any openings, really, because that's already muted up again. And now Tesla will need to ensure that he is getting and nailing his shots with the lance just the right way.
Well, looks like they'll find it, but of course, pretty easy to just put another one back down straight away to deny everything, and that is the last... Oh, all right, no, it looks like it did, of course, go off. My mistake. But that is the last X-Kairos now out of this, so they're going to have to make use of what they've got right now for PC419. 2 members down. They would have loved to have taken Yui out, but now they're going to face down this 3v5. Utility just being chucked into the room here to see what they can drain, get all these ADS out of the way. It looks like now Bizarre have a pretty good idea where Noob is, so he shouldn't be able to find any crazy peaks. I think you're really looking for Tesla to just find some free kills from the outside, but he doesn't have a lot of time to find those, so it's time for PC419 to pull the trigger, and it looks like it's just going to be the trigger pulled on them as they are just losing members as the time runs down. Just pun, and man, you got to get a whole lot of sniper shots to get these 5 kills that he needs. But you know what? Who needs the sniper? Just pull out a real gun, and you get at least 1 kill.
And the very least 1 kill, but that's not gonna get PC419 anywhere further than just that padding a few of their players. Bizarre, only 1 point away from granting themselves a match point here on map number 2, and oh so close to solidifying themselves a little bit more stable ground than what could have been a chance for them after the first map conclusion.
And this is where PC419 should really start to sweat, because now they know that they cannot let this one slide by. Any rounds now dropped, it means you're either going to overtime or a loss, and neither of those things are going to be good, because like we were saying before, they can't just walk away saying, oh yeah, draw's good enough, because it might only be 1 point, but it keeps Bizarre ahead. And you know, you don't want to rely on some matches against potential upsets being the things that keep you into the playoffs. You want to make your own fate now. For Bizarre though, they are oh so close to essentially locking this one in. They may not be happy with how hard they had to work for it, and they may not be happy with it only being 1 point. but I can imagine they're going to be just fine if they can take the win here.
Yeah, still a few rounds to be played out at the very least here. Bizarre now fully utilizing the Echo that has finally been unbanned and could potentially be the one to swing things around. Still already a few very noteworthy Echo plays as well from a variety of teams. So here, ooh, President toying with the fate a little bit too close, because the moment somebody would have spawned out the front and went for a free fire, that would have been the easiest frag of their life.
Attackers recovered the bomb diffuser.
And that's something that Ghoul has really been taking advantage of when he's been on attack. So the idea is definitely there for PC419. So it is a dangerous thing to be toying around with, especially in these rounds, of course. Yeah, Bizarre might have a few comfort rounds if they need to drop them, but at this stage, I'd just say it doesn't really matter. Like, you can't let one individual round slip by. President opening it up onto a strong player like Sage. Ash player now off board. That's scary for PC419.
Swapping mags!
Yeah, for PC419, yeah, here, losing out Sagen that early into the gunfights on this kind of scoreline, that has got to be rough. But at the very least, they should still be able to keep applying pressure. President's position is going to be pressurized here very quickly here, as there's also the Echo drone applying even more so of a pressure here. And well, yeah, finally President is the one to find the frag right before the breach by Vlad. So a very timely frag there to allow President to just stay safe, just not really care about the fact that he could be in a crossfire there.
Yeah, not sure how some of those people survived through a lot of that, but the real state, though, is that now it's 5 people on Bizarre, 3 people on PC419. So again, this looks like an almost impossible match for the round. We may just be going to overtime. We'll give Vlad, Tesla, and Pun a chance now to find something to work. They do have all the breaching, and they even have the Kali still sitting around. Question's going to be, do they have the firepower to really win these fights? They need to do what they did a few rounds ago and just win these peaks super hard, but with only 3 people. It needs to start now. President, oh, he got caught running, but man, he needed to get caught harder than that, and that's what it needed to be. Securing that kill, locking it down. 45 seconds now to make the 3v4 work.
Yeah, they need to make things work. The time is running low. 3v4, it's still very much workable there. He can see the pixels of the head. He can track it. He can see. He knows exactly where the peak could be coming out from. But time draining out so quickly, things might not be looking very pretty. Oh, does actually able to connect the shot, but there's also a Gumine that will be dealing the damage. Vlad is also finding it. The frag 2 as well. Only 1 person remaining from Bizarre. The 10 seconds he needs to hold out if he wants to keep things going. The plant is going down. 1 second, less than 1 second. The plant has been done here, and the fuser is now will be ticking against Ghoul.
Oh, Ghoul. He does not want to be in this position, and he wasn't a few seconds ago. PC419, I don't know what they did, but the trio, the terrific trio at the end there, pulled out some magic, and they keep going here. They stave off what could have been the inevitable. They keep Bizarre away from that overtime, from that match point, and they keep it alive for now. Oh man, I'm feeling this one, Cthulhu. I'm feeling this one's going to overtime.
Yeah, this could very much actually come through straight to the overtime, because this is the fiery matchup that we expected to kick off straight from map number 1. It only took a single map for Bizarre to really warm up, but finally they are activated. Finally PC419 managing to bite back at Bizarre, but it seems for now that at the very least for Bizarre, they still have 1 more round before they will need to start sweating. They still have a little bit of room for error, but I don't think they would prefer to leave it out to the final rounds before they will start actually sweating as well.
Yeah, okay, so they did have a good opening though. In the last round, they got 2 free kills and were looking at a really good position. It's a shame, of course, that they dropped the ball and let the 3v5 happen. Of course, props to the 3 members of PC419 that made it happen, but yeah, now we can imagine if Bizarre get a strong opening like that again, They're not going to let it slide away out of their fingers, but you can also say PC419 won't let those 2 kills happen at the start. So this could look like a very different round here, Cthulhu. It's still a round where Bazaar could just move on to match point. The pressure swings completely differently. PC419 suddenly look a little more scared, but if they can bring him back here, then, oh man, that gets exciting. If we get to that 5-all scoreline, that's the one that I love to see.
Yeah, 5-all scoreline should be a very exciting plan to really happen here. Interestingly enough, Yui was just about to plan down his final ADS right before the action starts, but yeah, I mean, if PC419 can bring this back, this could be absolutely nuts here for themselves to be able to make a comeback, because the first half was definitely not looking very favorable for them in any shape or form, but hey, they managed to really bring it back, and there's the lance coming out. President needs to be planting it at just the right time, but no, the planting of the breaching charge was rather quicker by just half a second, and well, President will be forced off his position. Another breach to come out now onto the site as well, and that is the 2 avenues already fully opened up now for PC419.
Yeah, now Bazaar are a little more vulnerable now with these openings up. You can already see they've fallen super far back. No one here out in the open on the point, of course. Flash is now starting to come in. They know that someone's down in the corner, I believe. Yeah, they got a pretty good idea that Pun's just sitting back there. He basically, AFX is sitting back there. He basically cannot move too far from his spot. He's going to have to retreat back here. He does have the option, but Pun has been droning him out constantly. So the danger is certainly there, but PC419 have opened up all the doors, but not too much has happened since then.
Ready for level!
Yeah, they're still very hesitant about maybe a few flanks that could be coming out. They still have that traumatic experience where Bazaar will be able to go in for those late flanks and just be able to completely demolish them occasionally. So they are very cautious about it. Less than a minute remaining, so they still have a little bit of time to tumble around to kind of figure out whether they want to apply pressure. But that also gives time to Bazaar to fully move all of their forces just a little bit closer to those breaches and try to have some counter game. Bit of a trade coming out. President with a wide swing with a shotgun will be able to claim Pun, so that is the pressure from the garage completely done and out. But Vlad also is able to dedicate a few shots, so that is another death on the side of Bazaar. Plant is going to be down successfully, but Ewan on the flank should be able to deal plenty of damage, but Vlad doesn't forgive.
Oh, but he may have to, because now it's just Noob, the one man holding this plant down, the fort. Twent and AFX wanting to retake this one. Noob has to hang out outside, just waiting for it. The question is it going to be a bait? Is it going to be a play? Is it going to be a trick? And does he fall for it? He has to be careful. The first turn around the corner is unfortunately the first boss that stops him. Bazaar now on match point.
Defenders win.
Sure are only one round away from getting themselves the point, from getting the stability back into their hands in the leaderboard. And only one round away from potentially for PC419 from losing the chance to get anywhere closer to that top 4 and potentially to rely on an upset in the next week.
This is scary stuff for PC419. This is games that the pressure is made out of. We've got to be worrying right now. Now you know that it's a massively uphill battle, and you not only have to win 2 rounds in a row, then have to go through overtime and still hope to win there. And this is all just to get a 2-0 because they need that one extra point. That one extra point that Bazaar have over them. And now Bazaar, because of all of that, this immense amount of pressure they can now exert here. They've been having a pretty solid defensive half. PC419 showing signs of life for sure. But it's looking like Bazaar's time to rise at the moment, but let's hold tight for now.
Jammer ready.
PC419 have shown that any single round can come back at the moment. They've got the comeback mechanics, so even if they lose 1 or 2 members, you can always bring them back.
10 seconds left before insertion.
Yeah, well, let's see how it all plays out. Potentially the final round, or maybe this is the round where PC419 could also make the big plays, the comeback once again. few setups being made. Still a single. Well, sorry, I was about to say a single Thatcher grenade, but Thatcher is no longer there. Yeah, Kali will be easily able to get rid of the mute charge, but just the fact that she will have to waste her utility before the breach will happen is already quite a big thing here for the defense.
Bomb diffuser has been dropped.
It did come through pretty quickly last round for PC419, and then, like we were saying, they didn't really
Recovered the diffuser.
do much with it for a
Attackers
while.
dropped the bomb diffuser.
The thing is, it's not really coming out as quickly this time, or at least it doesn't feel like it. They're still working a lot on drones at the moment. They don't need as many doors open here, but that's all right. That's a good little drone, but it doesn't get it out, unfortunately. But PC419 are getting this info, and they're not doing it too slowly. So if they can get a little bit more, drain a little bit of utility, then maybe they can make that push with enough time.
Magnet ready.
Sure is. Well, Sajin knows that there's potentially some danger there, but thankfully thankfully for him rather, Noob is able to get some information going. Ghoul is about to get pressured here very quickly, but there's a few of the magnet charges that will be able to save him from a few of the grenades, but he won't be able to get saved from those Hibana charges, and thankfully for him, we'll be able to run away from that position. Excaros will be trying to get rid of it. Oh, sorry.
Nice.
That was a nice impact trick, nicely done by Twent as well, but yeah, that is another set of the Hibana charges gone.
Yeah, wow, that was a really nice little block there. I mean, I was going to talk about how Ghoul got out of there alive, but then that block as well, that really puts a stop on PC419's little push here. They are going to have to try and make this last minute count, because they're going to have to go through some spots that maybe they won't want to, although this last thermite charge does go off, so they've got at least one more entry into the site. This is all set up now perfectly. Maybe a little bit of last second droning to come out for them at this point, but as you can see, the smoke bomb's now coming out. Let's see, Sage making a push. He gets the peak, but no, he just went a little too far and will be punished for it. It's a trade now by PC419, all starting to move onto the site. The plant going down. It's just Vlad and Noob fighting for Pun's life. Now Pun can join the party too. Vlad has got his kills, and now it's a 3v3 for the retake. Bazaar getting the job done, getting the work started to try and win here on match point. Just Vlad and Pun to hold this retake here, fighting for what could be their tournament life. Ghoul drops now, just AFX standing in the way. Pun and Vlad, the dynamic duo. They cannot let this one fall to AFX, who's going for the frags now. Oh, he doesn't get the shotgun shots, only half the health. He runs out, drops Pun, doesn't drop Vlad. No, he does. Vlad gets AFX at the end there. Okay, we're caught up, and PC419 is still in this.
PC419 sure are very much still in this. So only 1 point now dividing them between the win and the overtime. And, well, this is the decider as to what is going to be in the foreseeable future, what is going to be the fate of these two teams. We'll have to find it out in just a few minutes as round 12 is about to begin.
Dude, AFX could have won the game there just then and at that moment. It obviously massive ask, and he almost did it, but it just felt like when he got the jump on, I think it was Pun, he was just slightly to the left and got like half the shotgun spray on him. And he may have, that could have been a kill. That could have been the whole map for them. But of course, it's Siege, so those things happen. And unfortunately, rounds slip away just like that. But props to PC419 for setting that one up, near the end. It got real messy. There was a lot of trades going back and forth, but with a strong push and some solid play by the duo near the end, it did manage to hold on to it. So everyone playing out of their minds at the moment. You got to imagine that this is going to be probably the most tense they've played for quite a while at the moment here. But it is still match point for Bazaar. PC419 have got one more round to go before they can send us to overtime. It's still going to be the same amount of pressure as it has been the whole game, but maybe Bazaar are feeling it just that little bit more.
Razor wire is deployed.
Yeah, Bizarre might be just a little bit more activated here comparative to PC419. Yes, thank you AFX for helping.
This is how you do it.
Yeah, this is how you do it. Yeah, they may be a little bit more activated here comparative to PC419, but beauty of PC419 is when you expect them the least to perform, this is when they perform, and well, this is the time for them to shine.
It's at the stage where you just don't call the rounds anymore. It's just too even at this point. Oh, an enemy detected outside is always going to be something that raises your heart rate a few beats per minute. But yeah, these teams have just been so on point together. The clutch potential's there for every single player. I've got to say, Breach now done. Ghoul in a similar position to what we saw last round. He got out alive last time. Is he going to do it this time? It does not look like it. Sage swiftly executes him. That is setting it up nicely for PC419 to take us to overtime. 1 kill in the bag.
Reloading.
Yeah, that's a solid beginning here. Sagen once again showing why he's a very scary player to play against. The entries on that man are absolutely quite something, and already an early dominance over the Addict should ensure a good pressure point here for PC419 to begin with. But President's angle here, right behind one of those bunk beds, should be a very deadly peak point here. And if Vlad is going to try to solo peek it, that could end up in his demise. But for now, it seems that PC419 are trying to just get rid of Twent, who's just on the other side of the walk-in closet wall.
Yeah, and they know he's there, so they're trying what they can to deal with it at the moment and starting to push Bizarre back. And this is feeling pretty good. They've got now 1 minute to execute the final stages here. It's going to be a few peaks here. Any kills here are going to be great, but you do not want to just throw your life away here because PC419 have got the advantage in numbers. You don't want to throw it away for sure. We still got to get through all of the gas bombs. AFX is going to be saving up, and it's actually a great time to start throwing them out. Pun falls down, but they've got Twent. This is already members starting to fall. The smoke bombs start coming out. AFX has got 2 kills, one of them with the gas bomb. He's actually maybe holding this one alive. Vlad falls too. Now Sage trying to save it for his team, but he can't do that either. All up to Tesla now to keep PC419 alive. He has to get it done. He can't afford to get Vlad up, or maybe he can. No, he can. And now he'll come back up. Yui has found Sage though to finally finish him off. And oh no, just as quickly he's got brought back up. Vlad falls down, but Tesla turns around and gets the kill. But in the end of the day, it's Bizarre who win the round and win the map. They draw up the series, but that can mean oh so much in the leaderboard.
Oh yeah, that is a huge performance here for Bizarre, managing to really get themselves back on track after the a very humiliating map number 1, and yeah, finally get themselves back on board. So now we will need to cast our eyes further down the line towards week number 7, where the fate of both of those teams will actually be decided through their respective matchups against the Bitter Hems as well as ShadowNet as well. So if a upset comes through on either one of those teams, the opposing team is the one that will make it to the top 4 bracket in the playoffs. And that could mean just a huge amount of things, really.
Yeah, so what it does mean is the only team who can really afford to drop a map, I think, is going to be Bizarre. But they essentially need PC419 to drop a map too next week. So it's just all a bit of a mess here because they're both likely to pick up the 2 and O's. So that means that Bizarre with tonight's victory should have secured their position, but we'll have to wait until week number 7. But they should be feeling pretty confident in their result tonight. The problem, though, is that now PC419 are going to feel a little bit out, and now their playoff hopes are just out of their hands. They can't do anything more next week. I mean, they can get their 2-0, but they have to. Like, that's expected of them. But for them to really hope to get into the playoffs, they have to sit back. They've got to watch the match between Bizarre and I think they're playing ShadowNet. And so that one is really going to be what they'll be watching, and I just want to confirm that actually, because yeah, they are playing ShadowNet. Right. Yeah, so you don't want to be in that position ever.
Yeah, not at all. I'm just in general, just leaving it to the last kind of chance to kind of rather more leaving it to the fate rather than your own skill. It's always the more rather unnerving kind of feeling. But either way, yeah, this is going to be an interesting week 7 nonetheless.
All right. Well, with that all said and done, we actually do have Mr. President on the line. And sir, can you hear us?
Hello, guys. How are we?
Yeah, not too
good,
bad,
good.
not too
And
bad.
you know what? Great after the show that you guys put on for us. So let's just get right into it. You know, you guys now should have probably your position locked in the leaderboard. So how are you boys feeling?
I mean, we were expecting the 2-0 tonight, but Coastline, we weren't disciplined on our defenses. We lost early picks. So, like, we weren't happy with our Coastline performance, but, you know, we reset our mentality, came into map 2 and, yeah, got the win. So I think now that pretty much secures our playoff spots, but correct me if I'm wrong.
I mean, that is if you guys will
pretty
get
much
the
have to
2-0.
lose.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'd pretty much have to lose next week to
Yeah, okay.
drop your spot into the playoffs, I think.
Yeah, but apart from that, it should be still a fairly smooth ride for you guys. Walk us through the Oregon, because, yeah, like you said, you guys were able to make a return there for yourselves after the first map. At which point did you guys kind of figure out that it's your map for the taking? Because Oregon was PC419's pick, so I would assume that you guys at the very least were able to do some stratting prior to it and just prepare that map just in case.
So the video actually caught us off by guard a lot.
Right.
We were not expecting to play either of those 2 maps. But we're pretty confident in our Oregon. We've had a few scrims on it the past few weeks. We had that good result against Exto the other week. So we were going into that map pretty confident.
Okay.
Yeah, with no doubt in our minds that we were going to come away with the win.
Yeah, and so I just want to move the conversation a little bit to some of the pressure you guys are going to be feeling throughout the next few weeks, because playoffs now secured, but
Yep.
tonight's matches in the pressure, were you guys feeling it because it was essentially the match that decides your playoff chances?
Look, there was like a little bit of pressure, but knowing us, our experience as a roster and as individual players, we know how to handle that pressure. Coastline was just discipline issues, getting picked off early. But as you saw, we reset our mentality going into map 2, and I think that's what really helped us get over the line for that win.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that was a really good example of that. We saw you guys reset, and it looked amazing. So congratulations on picking up the win here, at least making it a draw, but keeping your lead here. So good luck as you move into the final week next week for your last round robin match.
Thank you. Just a quick shout out to Yui as well. He played amazing. We had like 4 hours with him to practice. And yeah, also shout out to Shay for watching. Appreciate it.
Yeah, props to Yui. He did absolutely phenomenally there for the plays, especially on the second half. Oh, sorry, on the second map.
All right. Well, yeah, there we go. That's President. And yeah, I just want to echo his respect towards Yui as well. Yui stepped up a lot, and it's actually kind of surprising to hear they only got a few hours of practice with him, because it didn't really feel like it. It did feel a little less than the usual bizarre, but I mean, at the same time, it still stepped up where it mattered. So big respect coming out to the new player stepping up. So with that all said and done, Cthulhu, let's take a look at what we've seen tonight, because it's been some important matches, but we kicked things off with Skyfire versus Bitter Hems. This is what we expected, that result of 2-0. Bitter Hems had a chance to show up, and unfortunately Skyfire, they stomped them into the ground. Then, as we just saw, PC419 and Bizarre Gaming went toe-to-toe and ended up with a draw in the series. And, you know, we've just been talking about what that means for the leaderboard. And speaking of the leaderboard, I think we're going to take a look at it now, because you still have Exto Gaming at the top, and you still have Ferox right below them in second place. But now we're seeing that tie be broken a little bit. Skyfire and Bizarre edging ahead just a little bit, 11 points, 10 points, but PC419 down below at only 9 points. And then we've got, of course, Bance, Shadownet, and Bitter Hems, who are sitting down there near the bottom. Bance did make a pretty good showing last night. where they sort of set themselves pretty far ahead from the bottom two teams. But Shadownet and Bitterhems looking for their last week to really pick up any final wins. And speaking of that, let's take a look at our final week. What matches are we going to be seeing? It's going to be Bitterhems versus Bazaar, and then we're going to have Skyfire versus Exto. So Cthulhu, let's take a quick look at these ones. I mean, Bazaar pretty much needs that 2-0 against Bitterhems, and Skyfire, they can play spoiler against Exto here if they can pick up a few wins.
Yeah, if Skyfire, pretty much the Skyfire versus Exto gaming is going to be rather a game for the seeding for the playoffs, and it could definitely throw in a bit of a curveball there for Exto's plans here for their plans for playoffs. But yeah, we'll have to see. It's definitely going to be a banger of a matchup for Bitterhems. This is going to be their last chance to kind of showcase their performance, maybe show that they are still a force to be reckoned with, or maybe Bazaar will just claim it clean 2-0 and just kind of call it a week.
Yeah, and of course, don't forget, guys, that's only one night of the week. We've got 2 nights next week, of course, just like every week, Tuesday and Wednesday. Those are always going to be at 8:30 p.m. New Zealand time, 6:30 p.m. for Australian Eastern Standard Time. And of course, those ones are going to be great to watch, so make sure you stick around from them, because even though matches tonight really did lock in our playoffs, it's still matches that need to be won. They're not officially locked in. You've put the key in, you've turned it, but you haven't yelled outdoor barricaded yet. So with that said and done, Cthulhu, I think we're going to have to bid farewell to our viewers tonight, and we're going to see you guys all next week for the final week of the round robin stage here in LPL Pro and Rainbow Six Siege.